G.I. Joe, the Real American Headcast, is the code name for Aaron's daring, highly trained headcast. Its purpose? To podcast about G.I. Joe, Fighting Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
Hey, Joe's Brother Ed here. Before we get started, I do want to say hi to Heinz Koch out in the chat. Heinz says, "Yo, Joe." We're running a couple minutes behind. We got talking beforehand with my guest hosts and fellow hosts here, and but we're here, so we're looking at issue 68. But before we do that, let's go ahead and bring in some Joes. First off, I'm gonna do my list I made up on my computer here. I'm gonna bring in again. I've talked about one of the shows I do is the Energon Protocols. We play the Renegade Studios G.I. Joe role-playing game, and I released that. With us today is one of the creators, writers, players of the game, a great guy all around. We have Ryan Costello.
Hey,
Ryan.
You forgot to mention I'm also Backstop's #1 fan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Backstop's #1 fan. Hence the reason you're here today.
Absolutely. Looking forward to this.
Yeah,
I reserved this spot like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, here a while back, I mentioned the guys. If you guys ever want to be on the show, let me know. And I'll glad to fit you guys in. And Ryan's like, when you get to 68, give me a holler. So here he is. Also joining us. Let me pull my media here. Against my better judgment, I will bring out
that. It's a prescription for danger.
AKA Death Probe. Jay.
Makes me laugh every time.
That's why I do it. Welcome to the show again, man. You were gone last month, and I'm going to bring you up full screen real quick.
All right.
The Baroness, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm doing one. I've been doing these for a couple of months now. Little what I call panel studies, where I take an individual panel from the book and just spend a lot of time with it. And this is from this issue that we're going to cover. This panel
very nice
in this issue, and so yeah, I'll be working on another art piece here. And I appreciate you having me, as I am well known as Backstop's #1 fan.
What?
Controversy from the get-go.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
Them's weird fighting words.
Like, has anybody ever fought over Backstop?
Okay, first let me get rid of the problem. There we go. Now, so next up, I think we're going to bring out Backstop's #1 fan. Let's go ahead and bring in Kevin Reitzel.
Exciting football music. I love it. I love it. Hey, so real quick, I with the G.I. Joe classified figures that are being released.
Yes.
I'm trying to collect. I'm not doing it like, religiously, but if I happen to see them in the wild or easy to kind of get. I've been collecting the GI Joe Classified with Animals 2-packs.
Of course, you
I
are.
just recently picked up Law and Order right here. I picked that one up right there. Look how cute little Law and Order looks.
Very nice. Yes. They have
But
that
even
one, yes.
cuter, I picked up this guy right here, Desert
Yes.
Scorpion. Oh, look at that!
Very
Look,
nice.
look how cute the scorpion looks. Look at that!
Oh,
Look at that!
yes.
Yeah.
I like that. Very nice. Very
So
nice.
I don't know what all of them are yet. I think there's a Snake Eyes and a polar bear that I don't have.
Yeah, there's a
maybe.
Snake Eyes and Polar Bear. That's part of the Mass Device set.
Yeah.
There's Guana Hide with what's the pork belly, I think it is.
Yeah, I don't have that one, but
I skipped
do
on that one.
I do have Croc Master, and of course I have a Junkyard. Of course, I have that one.
course.
So yeah.
We also
Very
gave
nice.
Road Pig a dog.
Yes.
Rufus,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the name.
We
Yeah.
need to get those. So yeah.
Raptor has
Yeah.
Yeah.
General Ledger is
yes, that's
Falcon.
yes. So yes. And we also have with us again, Dave or Kevin tends to go to Australia quite a bit. From Australia, we have
He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich. And he said, I come from a land down under.
David Finn. Let me bring him in. There we are. Hey, Dave.
Hello. I'm the man in black today. Sorry, my camera's not working. I
all
want to
right.
say yo Joe to you all, and I've also got I think it's Ghost Viper with the wolf. I think.
Oh
there's-
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I got that recently at a show that I went to. Here, I managed to get hold of that. So I like the animals too. It's always
Very
cool.
nice.
And a welcome to everybody.
And finally, last but certainly not least,
Good day, welcome to the Great White North.
Because celluloid heroes never feel any pain. And celluloid heroes never really die.
No, rain Canada! Rain Canada! For their beady little eyes, flapping heads of full of lies. Rain Canada!
Check out the big brain on Brad. You're a smart enough. That's right.
hey, Brad. It's a little longer than the last one I had for you, but I like it.
It's been a while since I've been here. I appreciate it, especially the Kinks song. That was a nice touch. It's been a while since I've been on this show. It feels like I think this is the first time I've been on this year. I'm not sure. I don't think it's been. I don't think I've. I don't think it was in the last few ones. No, I don't think I was. I had life stuff.
Yeah. One of the
I had
last
life
ones you're on,
stuff
you
going
mentioned
on,
the
yeah.
Kinks. That's why I figured I'd read you your intro. and
Yeah,
put the top in there.
yeah. No, it's very exciting to be here. This very weekend is actually marking another trip around the sun for me. It is a birthday weekend,
Oh,
so
Happy
Happy
birthday.
so
Jay.
I thank you. It's my 111th birthday. The One Ring has conferred unnatural long life on me, but slowly poisoning
very
my
nice.
mind. On the plus side, my son got me this nice classified Budo figure as a gift.
That is a
And
great figure.
he is really fantastic. I was surprised to get him, and as soon as I opened him up and kitted him out and everything, this is one of the really good ones. This has got a lot of options to customize him, so he's going to go on the
Very
shelf
nice.
with all the other ones. When I started collecting classifieds, I swore I was just going to do the original 13 Joes, but everybody who makes that determination always fails, and they always end up having a collection that's just exploding all over the place. And I'm starting to run out of room for them, so I'm gonna have to move into a bigger house.
That's the way it works. Yeah, they get you and they drag you in, and well, here you are. Welcome to the classified club. But so anyone out there in the chat, feel free to say hi, like Heinz Koch has, and share your thoughts on the issue, the cover, anything we're talking about. Feel free. I'll read them off on the air. Also, again, if you go ahead and give us a call if you want, leave a voice message. Numbers at the bottom of the screen. It's 559-500-3182. Again, that's the voice line for the show.
Do you do sexual content as well, Aaron? If people call up and want stuff like
You never know. I mean, you
Do
never
you
know
ever-
with me.
Do you ever take live calls?
I haven't yet, but I mean that could be something I could do if I had viewers, interested in it.
Traffic reports, weather, that kind of stuff. Like
I could be, so I could arrange in the future. Again,
we got the chopper out over the freeway and it's traveling pretty well.
Close this out. There we are. So we are, first off, before I get going any further, I do want to say that this episode is sponsored by Big Tanny Cole and Sean Adams. You can join them over on patreon.com/headcast and join the fun. But let's go ahead and get started on this actual episode because there's a lot to cover. We are looking at, let me pull up my screen just 1 second. So we got our sponsored by. So we are looking at issue 68. Make a change here. Just 1 second. Fixing my notes.
Issue?
So this is issue 68. Yes.
Comic book?
Yeah, oddly enough.
I know this is a long-time listener and long-time viewer.
Yes.
KR, and you have a really, really cool show there.
Well, thank
I'm
you, KR.
watching live.
Very good.
And you guys have a really nice panel of wonderful, talented people there, and especially that Kevin guy. That guy is very, very handsome. But I just wanted to, say I really, really enjoy your show and encourage other callers to call in. Have a good show.
Thank you very much, KR. So yes, Kevin, you got, I don't know if you heard, KR was singing your praises.
What a nice guy. That was really
telling
cool.
you, I wonder if he's on drugs because again, he didn't disparage Jared, but anyway. But we are here to talk about issue 68. So first off, we're going to look at the cover. Again, the cover shows some vehicle being driven by some guy.
They know how to sell this issue. They put the Persuader front and center.
Yes.
Stop peeking out, cover girl, manning his laser cannon.
Coming back, falling out of the back of a plane with a couple other Joe vehicles falling behind it. A couple of his tanks rolling up on him. Again, let's get some thoughts on this. This is out of 1 to 5 Yojo Colas. We'll get some thoughts. We'll go ahead and start with our special guest, Ryan.
Special guest. All right.
You are special.
I'd give this like a 4. It's very dynamic. We've got multiple layers to the actions. It shows off a bunch of products. And yeah, it does make sure that you know that this is definitely a backstop heavy issue. Kind of curious is that there's no mention of Battle Force 2000, even though this is their debut issue.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things debuting in this issue. And so it's not a surprise that they couldn't cram everything in there. So they went with very memorable scene. Like this scene is exactly something that actually happens within the first few pages of the comic. And and I think I really appreciate the use of white space because this is one of the few issues I've gotten signed by Larry Hama.
Oh, very nice.
There's a nice spot right there for him to fit his signature in.
Oh, yes. And I noticed over your shoulder there, you got the Persuader box.
Yeah, so this is the Argentina one. So you'll notice it's from Plastorama, and that's the repainted blowtorch. But over my shoulder here, we've also got a custom Sigma 6 backstop that was given to me as a wedding gift by Charles from our game.
Oh, very nice.
3 unpunched backstops.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is how you know it's from the factory. I've also got one of Sergeant Slaughter like this, but this you could technically pry out of a toy if it's just one of them. But when it's 3 of them, you know that this is actually straight from the factory because normally they would tear them apart. I'm not going to over my shoulder place that back and risk breaking it. And then I've just got a variety of backstop customs, including the one I like to call Canada Prime backstop, where he's got his red and white jacket and shirt.
Very nice.
Yes. Canada Pride.
Very nice. Give me half a second.
Can you email me the receipt, please?
And let's go ahead and get some thoughts from Kevin. Kevin, thoughts on this cover?
I think Kevin's muted.
Yeah, you're muted, Kevin.
Who is the penciler and artist again on this one?
This would be, according to my notes I have here, it could be wrong, is Ron Wagner and Bob McLeod.
Okay, so yeah, we're getting Wagner and McLeod run going here. I know we were talking about that in the previous issues and stuff. So,
yes.
So what I like about this cover is that it's taken from a scene in the comic. Not quite exactly. I think in the comic, though, the plane is actually landed before they all jump off here. But you do get to see some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total vehicles in action on this cover here. And of course, it gets a little bump too because you got CoverGirl in there, and of course the Baroness. But the bump isn't going to help my overall feeling on this cover because I'm not a big fan of the way that it's angled and how busy that it is. And I have a hot take here. First of all, I know we get Battle Force 2000 in this. We are entering, in my opinion, this is my opinion only, the latter half of the G.I. Joe comics that, for me, when I'm thumbing through back issues, I'm not too excited about. And I also feel that the overall storylines in covers, because when I was looking at the issues from 50 through 100,
right,
there's maybe 10 out of those, maybe less, that I would pull extra out of a comic. And this is how I judge my G.I. Joe comics. If I'm going through some back issues,
right.
I wouldn't mind having an extra copy of that. I feel that there's maybe 10 or less that are actually good covers that I'm excited about. I was looking at the upcoming issues, and I don't remember where a lot of these stories go because I'm revisiting these for the first time again in a long time.
Right.
But when I look at, like, with the exception of like the, Cobra Commander on back, it was issue 100, I think it was, and a bunch of others. I'm not excited about a lot of these comic covers. There's nothing like the first 50 or 60 that just are so iconic, and the way that they're drawn and they zero in on maybe just a few Joes or a few things. There's a lot of busy comic covers coming up, and I'm not a fan of that.
We'll have to look. See, I know the next couple issues not my favorites. I mean, but then we start the war on Cobra Island, the Civil War, and that's a good storyline.
Yeah, I mean, there was of course, the Snake Eyes miniseries that comes up as well that had a couple of cool covers and stuff.
Yes.
But yeah. And there's a girl fight cover coming up too, which I like. So yeah.
Your last show, then, Kevin. This is it for you.
This is it. I'm sorry. I'm out.
All right.
That's why I said it was a hot take. I'm just saying. That's the way I feel.
There you go. Well, speaking of hot takes, Brad Abraham. Hey, what are your thoughts on this cover, Brad?
Well, speaking of hot takes, once again, Kevin and I are sharing part of a brain here because his editorial about the issues 50 to 100 is kind of my view of G.I. Joe as well. Although we'll get into that a little bit later, assuming Aaron isn't about to kick both of us off his show. The cover, I mean, what we have here is a pretty standard G.I. Joe cover for the era and just in general. But I had to ask myself, well, what really would you say defines standard for G.I. Joe? And the best I was able to come up with was a little checklist, so feel free to chime in on how close I got. The first is action. That there have been some conceptual covers that the contents within are depicted without dramatizing a scene from the book. There's the Grim Reaper issue 43 cover over Kevin's shoulder. There's the Snake Eyes Origin number 26. There's the issue 55 unmasking issues. But most of the covers that we do get tend to depict a scene from the book. And here we more or less have that. So you get a check mark for that. Number 2 is it usually depicts a recognizable character. In this case, the most recognizable one we have is the Baroness in the charging his tank. And we see the vehicles being dropped out of the C-130. And we can identify the vehicles except the new one. And we think that's probably Lady J with the goggles on manning the gun. So that's another check mark. And the third is a new character or new hardware. And we have what appears like a new Joe vehicle and character, which is, of course, Backstop, and the Persuader introduced in the center of the page, which utilizes a nice little 3-point perspective. And, we have to remember that this is a comic based on a toy line, so having the new toys on the cover are going to be a part of that. So for me, overall, it's pretty decent. I like how if you have the actual individual issue in front of you, like I do, that if you look at the cover and then you turn the page and you're right into the actual action, seeing this depicted on the cover, it's kind of neat to see that happen. Usually these scenes that are depicted, sometimes they happen much later in the issue, but it's like we're really being dropped in to the story between the cover and the splash page. And I at first I wasn't so crazy about the use of white on it, although it is a good point that it would make a really great place for Larry Hama to put his signature on. And I kind of looked at it and thought, well, would it be better if you had some stuff in the background? But then I realized, yes, that would kind of make it a little too busy. As Kevin said, a lot of the covers from here on out and just in this era are just a little overstuffed. But because it's a story that's set in a wintry climate, it is appropriate that it's window. And I'm just looking at my window now, and it started to snow, which means the big winter storm, the nor'easter that's about to hit the Boston area, has arrived. So yeah, I'm fresh out of Fruzen Landy and reindeer jerky right now, so it's going to be a rough ride ahead. But I don't have any real issues with this cover. I think it gets the job done. It's, again, I wouldn't really call it an all-timer, but it checks off those 3 points. It's got action, recognizable character, and new hardware. So there you go.
Great thought. That's why I keep you around. Great thoughts.
Thank you.
And then I know Kevin mentioned earlier the Baroness, so let's go ahead and hear from Dave. Dave, thoughts on this cover?
I like it. I agree. When I first looked at it, the first thing I actually saw was the Baroness up the left-hand corner, and I thought, fantastic. I'm not super familiar with this vehicle, and I didn't really realize what that was sticking out of it. It's obviously the laser cannon. It's good. I mean, it's a cool cover. Oh God, I'm such an idiot. I was like, what are the globes? I was like, are they planets? And then I realized it's it's the propeller. Yeah, I mean, look, I like the cover, especially because it had Baroness, and it's got the Spidey down in the bottom left-hand corner of the one that I always like how they have the Spidey in this era. Sometimes it was a black costume Spidey. Yeah, I mean, I'd give it like 3.5 out of 5. Yo-Jo's, why not? Nothing really wrong about it. And I do like it when they're a bit busy. I do like a busy cover sometimes. So I guess if Kevin's dropping out, I'll stick around. If it's his last show. Kevin's fleeing to Australia.
Yeah.
I'm already here. So, yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah, maybe not a bad choice to flee to Australia. That's another story entirely. And I think that was everybody. So I guess they give mine now. I think everyone's done. Oh, wait a minute. There's one more. They didn't read it. So anyway, we'll go ahead and listen anyways. Jared.
Look, man. Just because I don't read them doesn't mean I don't glance at the covers, man.
True story. Never mind. Okay, so yes. Thoughts on the cover, Jared?
I like this one more than I should. I am in Team Kevin. I've been on record on this show multiple times saying that I think the sweet spot of G.I. Joe, aside from those very, first maybe 2 years where it was all fresh and exciting, like I've often said, the Zek cover era is the era. And we're out of that era now. But being a military kind of guy, I really like when sort of vehicles work with other vehicles. I was on a podcast recently talking about Condor Man. That's right, Condor Man. I was talking about how I really like the
classic.
And then that podcast, I talked about how I really liked how the CH-47 picks up the Condor boat and spirits it away. So that's what I mean by that, like military precision type of stuff. And you've got these vehicles coming out of the back of the C-130. It's got a lot of energy. I like that kind of thing. So that's gonna help it quite a bit in my scoring. Of course. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a quick question though. So again, not a military guy myself. Close like I'm talking to you. They're dropping out of the sky. It looks like here. Inside the issue, they're actually closer to the ground. They're just rolling out. But here it looks like they're dropping them out of the sky. Would that actually happen, or would that I'm thinking it would damage the vehicle as they're falling out. But again, I'm not a military guy.
Right. It's kind of weird because you're right. There's 2 ways it's done. And that's why I'm on the show, Military Authenticity. If they're going to be doing it from altitude, it would come down, like you said, in one of those multi-parachute rigs.
Right.
And it would come down. If they're going to do the run-on landing where it shoots out the back, a lot of times it'll have sort of like a drag chute, like you see in drag racing.
Right.
They'll pop that. The vehicle itself will be sort of in a tray, if you will.
Okay.
They'll pop the chute. The tray will pull the vehicle right out, and then they'll just get going. Which, it's probably kind of what they were going for on this cover, but they had to make it a little more exciting. Although it's pretty cool to see it. I got to be honest with you.
It's not yet. Any other thoughts there, Jared, before I interrupted you?
Just that as the Backstop's #1 fan, and we're showing off Backstop stuff. I have one of the original factory molds of the Backstop figure.
Oh, sorry.
And I have the mold right here.
I had no idea. I had no idea we were going to be walking into a Backstop podcast.
Did you not see the cover?
I mean,
oh my
you
god!
have no idea how much passion Backstop brings to this.
This is the first time anyone has mentioned Backstop more than once in like 15 years of my G.I. Joe recent life.
I'm going to be 100% honest.
And I am part of the finest G.I. Joe costume group.
I didn't remember his name until Ryan said
oh my god!
I just want to play a game. All right, Ryan. I don't have a figure mold. I'm full of it. Back to the show.
You even read this issue, but anyways, in my thoughts, yeah, you guys have pretty much summed it up. I do, and Kevin's staying around because I agree with him. The first 50, 60 issues is probably got the best covers. There are some that I like in this next 50 issues. As I mentioned earlier, Kevin mentioned the Snake Eyes origin or whatnot, Snake Eyes little mini series within. And then there's some of the Cobra Battle Civil War ones I enjoy. But as far as this cover, I do like, as Brad mentioned, that it is something from inside the actual issue. It's an actual, for the most part, again, like I said, in the issue, it's actually on the ground. They're driving out, not being dropped out to damage the ground and the tires and the treads and all that. But when you get the Baroness, I wonder, since this is the Persuaders premiere issue, if maybe it'd been better to do like maybe a side view or something, get a better shot at it, but not being the #1 fan, I did have to defer that to Ryan. But that's one of my I guess drawbacks feel to this issue is that I think for debuting a new vehicle, maybe they should have done a better view of it to get a better shot. Maybe, I don't know, but overall I enjoy the cover. Again, not in my top 25 by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a serviceable cover. It does the job. So now let's go and get some where am I at? There we are. Some Yojo Colas out of 1 to 5 Yojo Colas. And I'll go on my screen here. Ryan, 1 to 5 Yojo Colas.
I'll give it a 3.5.
Very nice.
What? It's got your favorite character?
But barely, and he's the wrong color.
Fair enough. It's like the top of his
He's
head.
got a green helmet, blends in with the tank. He's supposed to have a silver or gray helmet.
Again, I forgot to mention 1 Yojo Cola means it sucks. 3 is an average cover, and 5 is like that one right over Kevin's shoulder. When
I'm sorry, that's an 11. It's an 11.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. 11. Yes. Jared, 1 to 5 Yojo Colas.
I'm going to go a solid 4 on this one, man. I like the energy that it brings, but we'll see. We'll see where the covers go from here, my friend.
Oh, and Brad, 1 to 5 Yojo Colas.
I'll give it a 3.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
I'm the spoiler, yeah.
And Dave, 1 to 5. You gave yours was 3.5, was it?
Yeah, 3.5.
Because again, we don't mind halvesies on this show.
Yeah.
Looking at Jared. And Kevin.
So I heard words like serviceable, average from almost everyone on this panel. We're doing this. So from 1 to 5, average would be 2.5, correct?
Technically, I spent 3 as an average.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to bump it up to a 3 because we got Baroness and Cover Girl on the cover, and that's the reason.
Very, very nice. Yes. And I am right along with several of you guys. I'm going to give it I've been debating since I was looking at, doing the notes for the show, what to give this. And I think I'm going to slide in there with David and give it a 3.5. Because again, it's not a bad cover. Again, it does depict something from the inside. And again, I like giving out halfsies just to mess with Jared and his co-host over there, delve in the dark web.
The show is horseshit.
Aaron, before we move on, I just want to point out this is one of only 3 times the G.I. Joe logo appears on the cover in pink. And I do not understand why they chose this. Now it's frankly weird that they changed the color of the logo just about every issue, but they're almost always white, sometimes blue, and a lot of times it's red.
Right.
This pink is not, it's not like they were reusing a color of ink they already used somewhere else. I find the pink logo a very strange choice for this cover, and I don't know how it ended up there.
It is kind of striking, though. It is kind of striking. You know.
Yeah, Jared.
Can you put it on screen real quick? The cover again. I don't. Let's go to the color wheel and see what its pop image is.
Bring it up on here. There you go.
Okay, so it's about this color pink, and so it. Okay, I think I see why. If you, a quick thing for artists have this color wheel. So if you're coloring something, if you want something to really pop, whatever's opposite side is what makes that pop. There's the pink we have.
Okay.
There, the exact opposite is the green of that Persuader. I think that's probably what they did. They went, okay, what's this green Persuader? What's the pop color? And that's Jared's guessing, but
I just learned something today. That's really cool, Jared. I went with a Dirty Mind situation, but I'll go with that. So, yeah.
I think you're either way is close enough to being right, Kevin.
Yeah, you know, but yeah.
So there we go, and that's why I want to get since Brian did bring up the color pink there for maybe get an artist's perception of why they would go that route. So thank you very much for the question there, Ryan, and thank you, Jared, for your thoughts on that. Until we get a roll artist in here, we'll have to settle for that. I mean,
I almost felt good. I almost felt good for a few seconds. So close.
Yeah, that's why I had to throw something in there just to throw you off because I can't even feeling good about yourself. So let's get some information on this issue. This is G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, issue 68. The cover date was February of 1988. The on-sale date, October the 20th, 1987. The cover price was $1. The title of this was called Cut and Freeze Dried. Writer, as normal, Larry Hama. Penciler, Ron Wagner. Inker, Randy Emberlin. Letterer, Joseph Rosen. Colorist, Bob Sharan. And as I mentioned earlier, the cover was done by Ron Wagner and Bob McLeod. And the editor was Bob Harris. And the synopsis on this one came from GIJoe.com, which is quite lengthy. As the Joes land on an airstrip in Frozenland, Cobra attacks with his tanks and maggots. But the Joes deploy a Persuader with Cover Girl and Backstop at the helm. With the help of the Awe Striker and a Snowcap, the Joes plow through Cobra forces thanks to a well-placed shot from Cover Girl's cannon. Elsewhere, Blaster and Blocker leave their positions while spy on Cobra's Terrordrome in Frozenland and travel back to their base, where their teammates are attacking one another. Blocker jumps into the fray, and after the Vector lands and Maverick climbs out of the cockpit, Blaster concludes that the Terrordrome must be emitting a frequency that causes everyone to become extremely hostile. While Cobra continues to pursue Cover Girl, General Hawk, and the others, Duke travels to Frozenhagen on an LCV. Cobra catches up with the Joes and launches all their missiles. However, Battle Force 2000 arrives at the battle and obliterates the missiles. After all the vehicles in the Battle Force 2000 unite and form a fortress, the team informs General Hawk about the Terrordromes and the paranoia radio waves. Unfortunately, the briefing is interrupted as dozens of Cobra Wolves, Fangs, and Mambas arrive in an attempt to destroy the Joes. After Duke informs the Prime Minister of Frozenland about Cobra's plot, Cobra's forces, which are led by the Baroness, are ordered to retreat by Dr. Mindbender since their plans have been undone. And as I think it was Ryan said, there's a lot of new vehicles being displayed this issue. So,
would you like the list?
If you have the list, sure, go for it. What do you have there?
So debuting in this issue, we've got all 6 members of Battle Force 2000, all 6 of their vehicles. We've got the Snowcat, a 1985 vehicle, making its first appearance in the comic, even though it came out in 1988.
Wow.
Frostbite has only appeared once in a crowd shot where you can barely see his face. Iceberg is making his debut in this. The LCV Recon Sled is making its debut in this. The Mamba is making its debut in this. Not the Wolf. The Wolf ends up, it was in a previous issue. And it's not his debut, but this is Duke's first significant issue since issue number 49, and this is number 68 again. So other than 2 one-panel appearances, Duke has barely been in the comic in the last 20 issues.
This is the Mamba's first appearance? I thought it was...
Oh, sorry, not the Mamba, the Maggot. The Maggot's
okay. I thought the Mamba appeared back, when Fred came to Cobra Island.
I forgot about the name of the vehicle, the maggots. I just thought that Baroness was calling people maggots.
100% agree, my friend. When I picked this panel, I was like, "Oh, how mean is the Baroness?" The actual panel I'm drawing right now,
which is entirely possible. So, so I was going to get some thoughts on this issue. So let's go ahead and start with. I'll go through my list as you're down here on my screen down here. Kevin, thoughts on this issue?
Okay, so I gave my thoughts on the covers, especially coming up in the latter half of the 50s through 100s through 100. This is also where the storylines get where the walls of realism and reality get pushed a little bit, and my, I remember yesterday when I was revisiting this issue for the first time in a very long time. I didn't remember what was going to happen just from what was being set up in the previous issue. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? Battle Force 2000, really? Oh. That was my first reaction because I started thinking about all this stuff that was being introduced, all these new characters that are forgettable. You're not going to remember them until Saw Viper killed a bunch of them. And I was like, yay. But I was going like, okay, this is a pretty cool battle. There's some interesting stuff going on. But when new characters are introduced in G.I. Joe, the writers have to let you know when they're talking to each other and they're saying their names. It's like, hey, Blaster, can you hear me or what? What am I saying? How can you hear anything with that Walkman cranked to the max? I can hear you just fine, Blocker. I was just wondering why all the Cobras have seen wearing headphones. So it's like you're letting the person that's reading the comic understand and trying to remember that their names, and they have to do that, and that's fine. They do that a lot in the comics to remind you of who are the artist are talking to when it comes to the characters and everything. I'm like, okay, so now I got to remember. What was that?
I agree, Kevin Reitzel.
Thank you, Jared, yard sale artist. But so, it's just one of those things they do in comics. But I mean, when you introduce a bunch in the same comic, though, I'm like, okay, so who's what again? And, and of course, the Cobra sound waves are, making the new team, mad at each other and doing a little brawl over little things. And, but one thing that kind of stood out that I liked was a callback to all the way to issue 2, but also, when Fred took over, the Cobra Commander role, where the Viper was going, "Oh, you're joking, sir. You were the one who brought the original plans from the Eskimo who stole them from the Russians." Issue number 2. Of course, Dr. Venom modified them, blah, blah, blah. I thought that was kind of a cool little call out there. It's like, oh, no, it was you that came up with it. And then Fred's like, oh, okay. So I thought that was kind of cool. I've got a few other thoughts, but I don't want to take up too much, though. But this is where, like, okay, we're getting a bunch of new people in here. Yep. I get it. And, just the old school down-to-earth G.I. Joe story writing and characters are starting to dry up.
Kevin, I just want to point out that I think it's cool that Cobra guy lived long enough. He's been around since.
Yeah, right? Yes. Yeah.
He clearly has never served under Major Blood.
And yeah, I'll give my thoughts here in a little bit, but I do agree with you. When I saw Battle Force 2000, I had kind of the same reaction you did, Kevin. So
I just like to say there is a team Kevin going on here, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, when you're right, you're
Battle
right.
Force Team Kevin. There we go.
I think just add on to the thing where people have to say the code names to identify them. We've also got Hawk and Duke. And Duke is wearing a winter jacket that looks exactly like Hawk's, and they're both blonde crew cuts in the comics. So more than any other issue, I am so glad whenever somebody calls out whether that is Hawk or Duke they're talking to, because you cannot tell these two characters apart in this one.
Yeah, I do like the cartoon gave Hawk the darker hair a little bit to help differentiate the two. So yeah. Speaking of Kevin, we'll go to his other half of his brain. Brad, thoughts on this issue?
Yeah. Well, in a broad stroke sense, it's overall a pretty decent issue, like on a big picture scale. It's something of a standalone, even though it does answer a question that, frankly, I never really bothered asking, which is what the whole grand plan behind the Terradromes were. I thought they were just little bases that you're selling all over the world to dictators and things like that. But now you've got these ultra low frequency signals that are making the local populace all angry and fermenting discord and destabilizing a country. And it's kind of G.I. Joe at its best, sort of on like the far end of the spectrum, where they kind of take these far out nutty concepts and make them somewhat plausible within this world. I mean, I had laughed when the prime minister was having second thoughts about his deal with Cobra, and I'm like, you didn't have second thoughts when Dr. Mindbender came out in his, monocle, bald head, mustache, bondage gear, going, these people may not be entirely above board here. There's something a little shifty about that guy with the handlebar mustache and the monocle. I think the action is really well staged overall. It's got some really great bits in it, and I really have to hand it to Ron Wagner and Randy Emberlin and Bob Sharon on the art team for bringing it all together. I think it's an example of what I like to call good meat and potatoes artwork, to use the phrase. It gets in and gets the job done, and it gets out, and you feel you've eaten something and you're satisfied. But the devil is always in the details, though, and overall, this issue doesn't quite do it for me, just in a broader G.I. Joe sense. And of course, I'm going to elaborate here, whether you want me to or not, guys. Remember when the year 2000 was like a long way away? And like when you're trying to make something sound futuristic, it was like stuff like Cherry 2000 and stuff like that. It was, you wanted to make something futuristic, put 2000 in it, and that worked for a while until we got closer to 2000. It didn't seem so far away, like watching Space 1999 in 1976, going, man, that is so far away. And now we have an issue released in late 87, and 1987 was closer to 2000 than we are to 2000 right now, which just means that we're all getting old, which is a whole other story here.
Shut up, Brad.
I'm still, I hate to bring it up, right? But I am, on my defense, I am 111 years old. So, I mean, this is just how time flows when you get older. But regarding Battle Force 2000, though, they did kind of become like a punchline in G.I. Joe. I don't think many people really remember them fondly. They think, oh yeah, that was the thing. It was one of those things that I think for a lot of us who had been reading the issues of the comic from fairly early on, we're like, what the heck is this frozen yogurt nonsense that's creeping into G.I. Joe? And they're introduced here. They make a few appearances, and they're probably best remembered for being all pretty much wiped out in the Gulf War adjacent storylines from the early hundreds or so of the comic run. So relatively speaking, their membership in G.I. Joe was relatively short. I think because that particular toy line, the Battle Force 2000 one, kind of stiffed at retail. It was Hasbro's attempt to do a Transformers combiner in G.I. Joe, like the Constructicons, where you buy all 5 toys and combine them into a bigger toy. And that was the Battle Force gimmick, right? That you buy the figures, you buy the vehicles, and you can combine them into a mobile base, which great on paper, kind of lousy in execution because they weren't cheap, and the figures and vehicles weren't terribly inspiring either. I think the failure of the toy line, that toy subline line, actually kind of handed Larry that opportunity during the, I guess it was the Benzene storyline, to send Battle Force 2000 to that great toy box in the sky. And Hasbro agreed too. So I even think they recognized, that one didn't quite work. But if you want to kill those guys off, just kill them off. So what I'm really trying to say here is Battle Force 2000 sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Again,
yeah,
you're not wrong.
No, and it kind of gets to the heart of why I agree with Kevin here again, not just because we're sharing a brain. I agree with Kevin because he's right. I was starting to disengage with the comic at this time. Also, I'd been with it for a few years. I'd already given up on the toys, which is ironic because now I'm back into buying G.I. Joe toys. But I held on to the comic because of a loyalty, like a brand loyalty. I'd been buying the issues since 27, 28 onward. I'd gone back to the stores and I'd bought all the back issues, so I had a complete set. And every month the new G.I. Joe issue would be coming around this time, and I'd be like, it's okay. Maybe I should stop. It's not really engaging me anymore. But like if I stop buying it, then I'm not going to have a complete collection of it anymore. And so at this point, I was kind of buying G.I. Joe, the comic, just out of loyalty to the brand because I didn't quite want to give up on that piece of my childhood where it was a lot more important. And
Right.
the thing is, at this point in the storyline, again, as Kevin rightly pointed out, they're kind of moving away from the type of storytelling that brought me into G.I. Joe, and it's more about just introducing new characters and new vehicles in every issue. And at that point, it's kind of moving away from what I liked about it. We just wrapped up that recent Borovnia storyline with Quick Kick and Stalker and Snowjob behind in the gulag and everything. And I wasn't on the last episode, but I did listen to it, and I was quite moved by what Jared pointed out there. That scene when the stalker and they realized that the people came to rescue them. It was that that brothers in arms kind of thing, and we don't really get that here. This is kind of like what people who would look at a G.I. Joe comic book and never read a G.I. Joe comic book would assume a G.I. Joe comic book is. It's like, okay, there's a bunch of battles, they introduce a bunch of toys, the G.I. Joes save the day, and we move on. And it kind of lacks that I think that deeper, compelling level of storytelling. But we're in this era of G.I. Joe now, where they're just kind of speed running the intros of new characters and new vehicles, and the whole thing just feels like it's like my classified figure bookshelf. It's kind of overloaded right now. It's sort of sagging in the middle, not a lot of elbow room. They're all kind of squeezed together. It's just kind of in that era. So while I appreciate the craft behind it, it's kind of like the vibe I get off of a lot of modern movies. I'm like, okay, I appreciate the craft that went into it. I appreciate the precision of the camera work because everything's fixed in a computer, but it's lacking that little X factor that kind of drew me to it in the first place. So that's sort of where my thoughts are, and I'll hand the brain back to Kevin because I think he's kind of zoning out a bit there.
It's funny. You nailed you put the nail on the head on one particular thing. There was that this issue came out in February of 1988, and I graduated high school in 1988. Things were changing at this time for me, and I was also grabbing the comic out of loyalty, even though I was kind of starting to not really be interested in the storylines that were happening. I was more interested in being on stage holding guitar while chicks were looking at me,
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't explaining to everyone at the time that I was still pulling these comics from my local comic book store. But I was like still kind of staying loyal and buying these things, but what wasn't helping was these really weird storylines that were not as grounded as the ones that we liked before. So, yeah.
Nice thoughts. And Ryan.
So I enjoyed this issue, and I think that some things are being undersold. I think there is some cleverness to this issue. First of all, it starts off, a million explosions are going off, but there's a key piece of dialogue from Baroness that says that they need to stop them from landing until all contracts are signed. And it doesn't tell us what contracts are going on there, but it shows that there's like the logistics side that we often get that made the G.I. Joe stories deeper. This wasn't just we're shooting at each other until one side is done getting shot at. It's we have a purpose. There is a contract. It is important. And if the G.I. Joes so much as land, that throws off Cobra's plans. And then there's a couple of moments that are very good comic book moments. Like it's the things that only can really be conveyed in this. So on page 12, we get the first shot from the back of the Snowcat, which should not be significant, but it's got an LCV sled hooked to the back, which first of all, I think that combination of vehicles like that is very cool, but nobody brings attention to it. And if you are just, other than the fact that it's like, oh, I never thought to hook the LCV sled to the back of the Snowcat, that's a cool idea. No attention is brought to it. But then a couple of pages later, we get another shot of the back of the Snowcat, and there's just these like belts that are dangling off the back of it, and the LCV sled is gone. And also, Duke is gone, which, as we mentioned, it's been about 20 issues since we've seen Duke, so it's not unusual for Duke to disappear. But from this story's point of view, that's like, these are fun little things that the second time you read it, you're like, oh. So by the time you get to the end and Duke shows up in the LCV sled and talks to the president and interrupts the contract signing, it's like, oh, all of the things that were going on below the surface of what is otherwise just this big shootout while these paranoid things are going off, it all pays off. It all like comes together. So I think that there is good storytelling in this. I think that that is actually the strength of this issue. The weakness of this issue is that we are introducing, as I said, almost a dozen characters. at the same time as we're doing some kind of like ray that changes their personalities. So I do not know what any of these characters are like. I don't know Avalanche's personality. I just saw him fighting another member of Battle Force 2000. Is he a kind of guy that fights? No, he was subject to a ray. So all of these new characters that were introduced, if you were hoping to know their personalities or anything about them beyond their look, you get nothing. And so, which if this was not an issue that introduced a dozen new characters, that would be fine. If this was characters we were familiar with, it might even be fun to be like, oh, it's weird to see. Well, actually, it was weird to see Hawk calling them a bunch of morons at one point. But that's the only thing. Unless you already know the characters, the characterization of this issue is easily its weakest point.
Yeah, very much so. And again, it doesn't help it's Battle Force 2000 that like Kevin and Kevin's other Bradford's brain have both said that, no one really cares about. So
yeah, well, like just like the cover doesn't care about it. The fact that Battle Force 2000 is in this issue is a total afterthought. They're in it for about, I don't know, 5 pages. And yeah, they technically saved the day, but it's Blaster's headphones that saved the day more than anything that anyone on that team did. Like they have the technology of the future, but it was just some like fuzzy Walkman headphones that are really the key to the undoing the entire Cobra plot.
Yeah. And let's get some thoughts from beautiful picture there. Jared, thoughts on this issue?
Oh man, it sounds like it was probably good. Had a lot going on, it sounds like.
Let's go ahead and close out of that, and let's go ahead and go to the next.
I mean, going last on a group like this, you guys nailed it a lot. Yeah, it's awfully hard to get to know Battle Force 2000 guys when they're just angry with each other. I like how it's the most 80s solution to the problem ever. It's the headphones, man, the boombox, like hell yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously the discussion around this issue is around Battle Force 2000. And while I'm sure there are a few Joe fans that enjoy Battle Force 2000, and more power to you. Yeah, this is G.I. Joe slipping in toy sales. I think Turtles were just blossoming. And it's almost like they're at the crest of their wave and they're afraid to lose the crest. I think that's a better way to say it. And so there's like, do this. So I just want to say, thank goodness for special missions at this time. I think that kept Larry sane. I think Larry would have lost it if all he had to do was sell toys. I mean, we've all spent some time with the man and chatted with him, and I'm confident in saying that. So I'm really glad that he had the special missions outlet to tell the more character-driven stories. While this issue, when I read it, the very first thought I had was, oh, we're selling toys. We are selling toys in this one. But it was brought up, too, that it's still a well-crafted story because it's still Larry. Even when he's like, oh, I got to sell these toys, he still gets a bit of mileage out of it. So is it the greatest issue ever? No. Is it the greatest issue ever if you love Battle Force 2000? Maybe. I'll leave it there. Someone's kid is about to burn the house down.
Speaking of which, Dave, before your kid burned your house down.
My apologies, guys. That's
it's all good.
That was Hayden. Making his appearance. Sorry, Jared. You were talking. Sorry, man. You continue.
No, he was done.
I'm good.
Oh,
and I'm done listening to him. So, Dave, do you have thoughts on this issue?
Actually, yes, I do. So I had read this issue maybe a year or two ago when I did a huge read through of the G.I. Joe comics. I went back to it last night to read it. I definitely agree with you guys when you're saying like it's kind of slipping off a bit, but I want to sort of say I actually enjoy this issue. I think it works as an issue, even though it's fighting against a few factors, just like I am now with my child. Hopefully my wife will pick him up in a second. No, like there's a lot going on, but I think Larry and the artist do a really good job considering the hand they're dealt. Like I did have a question mark when they managed to turn that plane around. I almost felt the art should have shown that more than it did, because I am amazed that anyone, I mean, I know it's a comic book, but if someone could do that live, I would be actually amazed. I would be amazed. But Oh my lord, I'm sorry. My wife is obviously picking Hayden up in a second. Are they Crimson Vipers that are in the with Dr. Mindbender with the Prime Minister? What's the name of those Vipers there?
Let me take a look. Which one was it? The
on the page where Dr. Mindbender's talking to the Prime Minister. What are the name of those sort of purple Vipers? Are they
Techno Vipers?
The Televipers. Oh no, I'm sorry, wrong one. Yeah, the Techno.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I like them a lot. I like the design. See, I liked large elements of this comic. I think it's just like I am right now, fighting against a tough situation. But yeah, no, it's a good issue, even though there are problems. Plenty of Baroness helps it a lot. And you can probably take me off now, Aaron, because just mute me while I go and do this. Okay? Cheers,
all right, man. And for my thoughts, a lot of you guys have said, but I got some other thoughts in here. Again, I've got my notes here that Brian already brought up, that this was a listing of a first appearance of a lot of characters. Also, from GIJoe.fandom.com, it notated that Baroness Hiss tank number is 666, which I personally liked. So some thoughts on this. I do like that, as we've mentioned, that the cover of this was basically from a couple of pages within here. I like that. Again, as we've mentioned before, I do like when the cover depicts something that's actually happening. And so we get that in here over a couple of pages. I forgot my first note I got here. So I read this issue last Sunday for the show. And afterwards, the wife and I went grocery shopping. And on the way home, she's scrolling through Facebook Marketplace. And every so often she's looked at G.I. Joe stuff for me. She pointed out to me that there was a Persuader for sale for $50. I thought it was interesting. I just read the issue that day, and then on her phone, the Persuader's popping up for sale. So I thought that was interesting. I expect it on mine because it's me, but for her to show me the same day that I read it, I thought that was interesting.
Did you buy it?
No, I didn't have extra $50, but
okay, just so we're clear,
pieces.
Which one's the Persuader again? I'm sorry.
The Persuader is on the cover. You're muted, Brian. Or maybe you're muted on purpose.
That's the one that Cover Girl is writing, right?
So picture if you take a Hiss tank and you just flip it around and put the wheels on the bottom, that's the Persuader.
Okay, gotcha.
It's also, it looks like a door stopper.
I don't know. I've never remember seeing this in any toy shops or comic shops.
It came out in 87, but it was not featured in the movie along with the other 87 Joes. It just missed the cut of making it into a cartoon.
Yeah, it's on the screen right now. That they're at the bottom and the top.
Gotcha.
That's Persuader there. So it's the one that was on the cover that was coming out with whoever Cover Girl or Lady G, whoever it was behind the cannon.
Not necessarily the most popular vehicle, I guess, right?
Except for Ryan.
I would say it was a popular vehicle for the year. It was military green, which at that point G.I. Joe was drifting away from. And it was just a good size. I knew a lot of people that had the Persuader firsthand just because it was, it was bigger than a Buzzbore or something else that was on sale at the time. It just felt like a good sized vehicle to have.
And in the comic, it shoots lasers, not slugs, not artillery, right?
Right. Yeah. It is a artillery. What is it? A high-speed artillery cannon tank. And let me look up 3D Joes just to see how the product is described. Although I probably have it. No, I thought.
I guess it has to recharge. I think there was a line in the comic where it had to recharge to shoot again, right?
Yeah.
To recycle. I think the term was used as to recycle. So
that laser cannon. Yeah, it was. I actually thought it was quite impactful when it would go off. It seemed very strong.
Oh yeah. And real quick, while Ryan's looking at that,
lasers
from the chat, some guy named Kevin Reitzel 6856 says Yo Joe Battle Force 2000. And also role play G.I. Joe RPG stories. Our buddy Dave Martell says hello there. Another one of our players.
What's up, Dave?
What's up, Martell? Good to see you, buddy.
Another one of our players from over on the Energon Protocols.
Jared, that picture is coming along quite nicely. Well done, sir.
Yes,
Thank
always. So Ryan, did you have any thoughts on that? Did you?
Yeah. So the cannon is the Heatwave 10 megawatt armor piercing laser cannon.
Okay.
And then the second one, the smaller one that's right over them, is the monopulse driver operated laser cannon. So it's got 2 main laser weapons and then a whole bunch of missiles on the side.
Pretty cool. It's going to leave a mark.
Yeah. But it is basically the G.I. Joe equivalent of the Hiss tank.
Yes.
So much so, actually, so there was a video game a few years ago called Operation Blackout, and in the vehicle levels, the Joes would drive the Persuader and the Cobra would drive the Hiss because they were about equivalent. That's basically the most prominent role the Persuader has ever played in any G.I. Joe media, other than this one issue of the comic.
My next note here, again, you guys covered a lot of the stuff from the issue, so I'll point some stuff out you guys didn't mention. In the previous issue, Cobra Commander talked about how, his helmet could filter out the sound waves, so he didn't need to wear the stupid earmuffs, the headphones, or whatever it was. But here we see he's clearly wearing them. And something I've complained about before.
That's just a style choice. That's just
it must be, because again, as I've questioned on here in the comic and especially the cartoon, he's got a big helmet over his head. How does the earmuffs stop sound from getting in? I don't quite understand the concept of that, but yeah, I don't know if it's the artist didn't get the memo that he doesn't need to wear them or what happened there. But I do want to point that out. That previously he said I don't need to wear these, and now he's got them on. That I don't understand, but there's a lot I don't understand. I do like when after Cobra Commander gets shot down, he goes running to the tank and his armor's smoking. On top of page 14. I love the smoke coming off of his armor. I just love the detail of that. Thought that was interesting. Another error on page 16.
Yeah.
When Iceberg is jumping onto the back of the Snowcat with Hawk, and whoever's on the back of the Snowcat, I thought it was Hawk, but he says, "I've got you, Hawk."
That is Hawk. He's holding Iceberg.
I know. So I said, "I've got you, Hawk."
He talks in third person.
managed to salvage a law rocket. I'm like, no, that's Iceberg. That's your great. You're not what? I had to point out that little mess up there.
That confused me. I kept reading. I'm like, is the period in the wrong or the comma in the wrong place?
Hawk does what Hawk wants to do.
I was trying to figure out, like, oh, okay, that must have been a mess up there.
It's funny when that kind of stuff gets through, isn't it? Like, like just goes to show that we can all quality control, make mistakes. You still see it occasionally in comics. Every now and then I'll come across just something small like that. It actually does happen,
Just blame the paranoia rays.
Yeah.
They were getting their minds messed with. He forgot who he was.
That's a very good story explanation for it. Yeah, he just
I got a no prize.
I was gonna say very good chance of a no prize there. And again, Battle Force 2000 new toy alert. Again, not the only time we're going to see this.
Did anyone actually complete this Battle Force 2000? I mean, once you got it together, did it look cool? Did it snap together well?
It does not. They do not snap together. They just kind of lie together. In fact, that pretty well shows that this thing is called the Future Fortress. It is not a fortress. It is 6 pieces of toys next to each other. And the fact that they just cut from, like, how did they do this? They didn't have cranes. Like, did they just pick up these multi-ton pieces of equipment and move them? Like, this shot does a lot is happening in this transition panel.
I think tarp covered wagons would have been a better choice.
Yeah.
To round up, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I had one of the vehicles in Joe's, and again, Battle Force 2000. I got the one on my, like Kevin said, it wasn't a very inspired, wasn't very, I don't know. I forget how you phrased it now, Kevin, but yeah, it just
they wanted to do the Devastator kind of thing, but like way more lamely. Yeah. It would have been funny if when it combined together, it became like a sentient kind of robot, and they really went Transformers on it, like. But you can see what they were thinking, but the execution is appalling on the concept, basically.
So real quick, I'm going to interrupt myself again. Dave Martell says he just finished running a Joe game for the rest of his cast. Maybe some will come over. He's glad that he was able to catch a bit of the stream. And again, we've only been going for about an hour now, but we're still covering the issue. So Glad you can join
Since
us,
we're talking
Dave.
about the G.I. Joe RPG and Battle Force 2000, the
Yes.
reason that I have not touched them in any of the G.I. Joe RPG stuff is because the amount of page required to explain how you do the Future Fortress does not justify the popularity of these characters. It would be such a waste. And so I couldn't just name drop them and throw some stat blocks out there. Like
Right.
it would need a subsystem to justify something, which would be more thought than Hasbro put into it at the time.
So what you're saying is trying to remember Avalanche, Blaster, Blocker, Dodger, Knockdown, and Maverick is a challenge.
I mean, I know who they are, but I think to the average person, well, not the average person, but the average Joe fan, you say like, which one of these is Blocker, Blaster, or Dodger? They'll probably remember Dodger, but like there's so little thought put into the names.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, nothing about the Battle Force 2000 shows the amount of planning as like it's clearly a marketing first decision.
Well, like I said, I had one of them, but honestly,
do you remember?
I couldn't tell you which one it was. I remember I bought one of them.
And there we go.
I was so unimpressed with it. Yeah, here it is, 40 years later, 30 years later, or whatever. And I don't remember which one it was. I didn't care to go and buy any more of them. I'm just, okay, I'm done with this. Let's move on to everything else.
It kind of sucks, just to wrap this up. It kind of sucks that they don't click together. At least if they click together, you would at least say they're making. If you just like it's lined together, that feels like they just sort of ran out of energy.
Do
if
you
you look, you see the little yellow turret that comes off of whatever Maverick's plane was. And really, you just take the shell of the Avalanche, you split it in two, you put it at a right angle, and there's a gap, and you just put it in the gap. You would think there would be a place to plug it in, but no, it is literally just sitting there in the space between these two plastic pieces.
Do you think there's a conversation going on between Battle Force 2000, like, Knockdown goes to Blaster? Oh, dude, I'm on the right, you're on the left. Blocker's in the middle. Maverick's in the back. Get it right.
Yeah. And then Knockdown's like, which one's Blaster?
Yeah.
Very much so. And then the last thought I had on this was in the letters column. Someone was asking about how Fred can pull off Cobra Commander with his voice, and the editor says that the suit has a voice changer, basically that allows him to sound like anyone. So that I think we brought that up.
That's cool.
A couple issues ago, I forget. I want to say Jared was involved in that conversation, but I forget now.
Maybe.
But yeah, it was brought up about, how people don't recognize that's not Cobra Commander. And that basically got a voice changer that makes it sound like him. So I just want to bring that out. So unless anyone has any other thoughts about Battle Force 2000, how great they were, or Ryan wants to talk more about Persuader and Backstop.
I've just gotten started talking about Backstop. So in case anyone's even wondering why I like Backstop, it is 100% because he's from Montreal, as am I. And not only was it weird that there was a Canadian on the team, but that anywhere in Canada that they could pick, that they happened to pick Montreal, fascinated me. And so, yeah, he just became my guy because he's my hometown hero. There's not much more to it. Actually, no, there is one more thing to it, is that he... Other than having some hockey in his backstory, he does not have a lot of Canadian hangups. They didn't make him super polite. In fact, they made him a big jerk who was kicked out of Canada for unnecessary roughness in hockey. And so he became a boxer and got the golden gloves. And like the little quote at the end of his bio is how he's broken more bones than anyone else on the G.I. Joe team, but he's fixing to break more of Cobra's bones than he's broken. Like, the fact that this is just the biggest jerk on the Joe team and he's Canadian made me feel good as a Canadian that didn't want to be presented as just another polite dude.
That's so anti-Canada. I love it. That's great.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
That's fair enough, man.
Yeah. He's more Wolverine than Dudley Do-Right.
Yeah.
And actually, I was gonna ask you why he was one of your favorites, because from the comic, we don't get much.
No, and this is his spotlight.
Yeah,
his third and final appearance, and he has like 2 lines, and it is a very generic exchange between him and Hawk.
It's interesting to know. Very good.
That's gold.
So let's go ahead and move on to the next section then. Brad asked to talk about some ads, and then Kevin also to give me one. So let's go ahead and look at Brad's the back cover.
Oh yeah. Take command in Kryn. This is Dragonlance Adventures hardback book series, I guess. I had a major flash of memory when I picked up my copy of 68 from the long box, and I carefully removed it from the bag and board. And I'm saying this for Kevin's benefit. And, I laid it flat
Damn
on
right
the
you
table
are.
to make sure. But when you turn the thing over, you pop the tape and you slide the thing out. And as I slid it out, I was like, "Oh, is this that Dragonlance book?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was." And I just had a complete flashback to it's 1986, 1987. I've moved to a new town. I've made some new friends. They're into D&D, so I started playing Dungeons and Dragons, just role playing games with them. And it wasn't a very long foray into D&D because I'd gone into other things, but I just had some really great memories of 16-sided die and just sitting around the card table, blasting Rush, and just killing many a Saturday afternoon slaying orcs until I was slain by an elf. But I just wanted to give a mention to that because I know a lot of people, are into role playing game. Obviously, on this we have a role playing game designer on this show, so even more appropriate that I picked it up. So
hell yeah, Brad! I also had this. I had this this hardback actually, and played a lot of Dragonlance and D&D. What a flashback, man!
Yeah,
right on. Right on.
What's funny is I was looking through my comment going, where is this? Where is it? I don't remember seeing it. I realized it's on the back cover.
Back cover.
I'm friends with Margaret Weiss, one of the creators of D&D on Facebook.
Oh, very cool.
Lovely woman. Tried to get her on the show many times, but she doesn't do podcasts. But she's a great lady, and she's one half of that Dragonlance team.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
And real quick from the chat, back on the issue, Dave Martell says he loves us too, and he's referring to the Canada stuff. So I believe that came up when Ryan was talking about Backstop and how great he is. Anyways, has anyone ever thoughts on this back cover?
10 out of 10.
D&D's nuts.
Should have expected that. And also, Brad, you wanted to talk about Captain Power.
Yes. Who remembers Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future?
Of course.
I remember the commercials. I remember the toys.
Yeah, okay, but I remember the show. I didn't play with the toys, but I remember the show because it was a Canadian filmed and produced show. It was written by a guy you may know named J. Michael Straczynski, who would go on to create Babylon 5, and he wrote The Real Ghostbusters. And, it was a really good show for what it was. I think much better than it had any right in being, as sort of being the TV version of a G.I. Joe comic like this one, where the main point was to sell toys. But Straczynski and the team said, well, no, we want to tell good stories and interesting stories. And it got... they did some really interesting things. They got really dark in places. People died. But I wanted to bring up this ad specifically because one of the actors who starred on their show, a guy named Morris Dean Wint, who played, I think the character's name was Scout, would end up going on to star in the first TV production I ever wrote. And I mentioned it to him. I said, hey, Morris, I used to watch Captain Power on TV. And he looked at me and he grinned. He said, oh, you mean Captain Paycheck?
Yeah.
So he didn't play Scout because Scout was the girl.
No, not that. No, I thought Pilot was the girl.
No,
wasn't it? What? No,
the pilot was.
Pilot was Scout or whatever.
Pilot was, I think, Sergeant Hawk actually.
Sergeant, he played Sergeant Hawk.
And then there was
now.
Never caught the show.
You never caught the show. Oh, so I have fond memories. I would go to my swimming lessons and then wait for my brothers to do their swimming lessons, and they just had a TV on outside of where the pool with Captain Power playing. And so every weekend I would get, that weird 1-2 punch of swimming lessons and Captain Power. But it's basically like, it has a lot of the production value of Power Rangers, but it's very dark. Like the villain's main thing is that he could just kind of send you to like this digital realm. And like, it was one of those like existential questions of like, what does that mean? What is happening to these people? You would get shots of them just screaming as they get digitized and no further explanation. And no one ever came back. So it's worth revisiting. It's definitely the darkest thing that was playing for kids at the time.
Oh, well, Dave Martell says that Scout was the black guy.
Black guy. And all right, I guess
Yeah.
I'm mixing up my
Yeah,
Captain Power characters.
I had to go to the Wikipedia page to see whether I was right or not, and it's like, yeah, is it Sergeant Robert Scout Baker and Jessica Steen played Corporal Jennifer Pilot Chase. So
okay,
and Sven Ole Thorson. Sven Ole Thorson played Tank, and you'll know Sven Ole Thorson as one of the big hench guys from Conan the Barbarian, one of Thulsa Doom's guys, and he's been in everything. Once you see Sven Ole Thorson in something, you see him in everything he's ever been in.
He's in a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger productions.
Yeah.
You will see him in everything. Yeah, I think he was like one of the security guards in what was it? Schwarzenegger's Running Man.
Yeah.
He's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Wait, is he Arnold Schwarzenegger's body double?
No, he's an actual actor and stuntman, and he was a bodybuilder. He was a Danish bodybuilder, so he was Denmark's strongest man in the world in '83. Wow. I'm not recalling this from memory. Like I'm a super Sven Ole Thorson fan. I just have the Wikipedia page in front of me, and he was just one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's buddies, and just ended up being a lot of movies together because they were friends. Like them and Franco Columbo, who was another bodybuilder turned actor in the day. So they all just kind of hung out together and they just made movies. So it was almost a running joke, I think, in movies in the 90s, low budget direct-to-video movies. We need a big imposing guy, and well, we can't afford Schwarzenegger. Where's Sven? Is Sven available? And he'd come in. Yeah. He was in a movie with Jesse the Body Ventura called Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe.
Just saw that.
Seen it.
You just saw that. You just seen it. Yeah, they did it on one of the more recent Mystery Science Theater 3000 ones, and it's hilarious because I know people who worked on it.
Just today, before coming on here, I'm watching For Reasons on Deadly Ground with Steven Seagal. Sven's in that too.
Yeah.
Okay, and I just had to look up real quick Sven Ole Thorson to see. Okay, yeah, I do remember seeing him in things. But yeah, I remember seeing I saw the toys on the shelves, but I never bought any. I remember the ads, but I never did catch the show in my area. I don't know if it wasn't on around here or if it just went on my radar.
Well, if you've got a VCR, buddy, I have got a tape for you.
Yeah, I do have a VCR somewhere around here, honestly, but that's because I'm old and I don't like throwing things away.
Do you want to guess?
I heard that the laser gimmick doesn't work with modern TVs, though. So you also need like an old tube TV,
which I also have.
There we go. Okay.
Very nice. And there's one more ad here. Was anyone else have any thoughts on Captain Power?
Love it.
I
feel like we could almost do a whole show about Captain Power.
Maybe somewhere. And Kevin, you requested this ad.
We touched on this on a previous episode, but I wanted for those of you that weren't there to kind of put your thoughts on this. So this is a great Konami ad here of all of the games that were coming out here for the Nintendo Entertainment System. And, the ad says whip, dribble, spin, rescue, duck, hurdle, bombard, screen, roll, dive, pass, evade, so on and so forth. And it shows a lot of classic games here, like Russian Attack, which is one of my favorites, Top Gun, Castlevania, Stinger, and a bunch of others here. But then it has Goonies 2. Mm-hmm. I have no memory of this game or seeing it. Did they bury it with the ET cartridges? I'm curious. But I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Do you remember Goonies 2 and your thoughts on these cartridges themselves?
I remember Goonies 2. I don't remember Stinger.
It's like
it looks like a spaceship with boxing gloves. Like
you shoot the box doesn't really do it. You shoot a bunch of bubbles.
Okay.
Yeah, you're a spaceship. You shoot. Yeah. I know all these games. I'm a Nintendo kid, man. What y'all have?
I had the Nintendo in the late 80s. Before that, I had the Atari and the Intellivision. But yeah, I don't remember Goonies or Goonies 2 video game. Don't remember those. In fact,
because in the US, there might have been a Goonies 1 released in Japan, but in the US, we just got Goonies 2. I just remember as a kid thinking, oh, that's interesting. They sort of made a sequel to the movie via the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
why haven't we ever gotten a sequel anyway? And what would that story been? I mean, are we seeing Chunk and Sloth on another adventure with them? And then, I mean, what are we having here? Where are they going? You know?
Yeah. In fact, I brought this up the other day because I was looking online about for something, and the wife's a big Goonies fan also. So I was looking on Goonies, and it led me to the Goonies 2 video game. Like, I don't recall ever seeing that game. So it's good that you mentioned that, Kevin. Any other thoughts on these Nintendo games? If not, we'll go ahead.
I own each and every one of the games in that ad.
I am not surprised. I am not surprised, my friend. Yeah, just looking real quick. I don't. Castlevania, I think I played. I think that's about the only one out of those I've played. Anyway, so let's go and move on to the next segment. The Real American Hero. 1 second.
Mine ready.
The Real American Hero.
I want to go first.
Yeah, I'm trying to add more videos and things to make this more exciting for those out there in YouTube land. So let's go ahead and get some thoughts from Real American Hero. So let's go ahead and go with who should I go first? Who wants to go for? Oh, let's go ahead and go, Kevin.
Oh, when I was reading this and I came to this one panel, I'm like, that's got to be my Real American Hero. I was looking forward to this segment because of this. Okay, right here, Frostbite, right? You know, and the Snowcat there. Okay.
Yep.
First of all, he shoots down Cobra Commander, aka Fred, which is really cool. So he gets an award for that. He says, "Don't mess with Frostbite. Not if you don't want a Heat Seeker Sam up your infrared signature." Right. So he shoots down Cobra Commander. He survives, of course. And then, of course, he's smart enough to grab the law rocket that he needs. That he ends up like shooting at that poor Cobra. Was it a maggot driver? I guess I don't know what it is. But of course, I got you, Hawk. Little name confusion there, but I'm going to give it to Frostbite for blowing Cobra Commander out of the sky and not forgetting the law rocket. So there's my vote.
So you're actually mixing up two Arctic guys because it's Iceberg that grabs the law rocket and blows up that guy.
Yeah, they look alike.
No,
a little bit. Well,
Iceberg doesn't have a beard.
You can't tell from that panel.
Yeah, I believe the drivers of the maggots are called worms.
Yes,
worms. Okay, so they weren't just names. Okay,
yeah,
they weren't just insults then.
Which I still thought they were too.
Thank you for thinking that what I was thinking there, Jared, because I'm like, she's just being very insulting to everybody.
No, they're actually names. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the next person. In fact, me and Brad's going to go at the same time because we picked the same person. But let Brad talk about it. Let's bring up Brad. Brad, who is your Real American Hero?
My Real American Hero. Oh, boy. Well, you know what? I was going to give it to one of the members of Battle Force 2000 just because they were the new guys, and I knew I was saying a lot of bad things about them and wanted to say something nice. But I ended up changing it because I thought, I'm going to hand it to the Baroness because even when she's dressed in winter wear, she's still hot. And but also not just because hot, but it's kind of funny to me on one hand that Cobra puts her in charge of the combat operations, the field ops, all the dangerous stuff. Right. They send her out under the ice floe to do battle. At the same time, it's kind of cool that they sent her because I think Fred Severin, Phobra Commander, recognizes she's super competent and ruthless. If anybody's going to be able to, delay the Joes or keep them from landing and keep them from messing with this, the signing of this treaty or this contract or whether it's going to be her. When you need somebody to be really ruthless on the field, you send the Baroness because that's kind of her whole signature. And again, also hot.
Very much so. Kevin?
Hot.
So I guess we don't have the same one after all. So, okay, well then let's go move on to the next person. Ryan. Do you have a Real American Hero for this?
I'm going for a Real Canadian Hero. I'm going for my boy Backstop, of course.
I figured, yeah.
Like he leads the charge. He's the one that says not to blow up, not to attack the Baroness, because she's probably got the best hiss driver, right? So they would be able to evade it. So he shoots the tank to the right of her, blasts out their left tread, so it veers into her, takes out her first tank, basically takes out Cobra's best asset in the fight. Smart move, Backstop. Well done. Joe's won the day because of you.
Very nice.
I have to admit, that was a banger move. That was very cool.
It was. That was, yes.
I would have been voting for Backstop anyway. I'm just glad he actually did have a cool moment.
He gave me a reason to vote for me just because besides he's Backstop. Very good. That's, you know what? I appreciate that. Jared, did you read it? Did you have one? Oh, no, Jared, do you have a real
Beachhead.
Beachhead, very good. Again, not surprised.
Well, I mean, I'd be a bad marketer if I didn't say Baroness, since I just finished this art piece, which, by the way, during all of our chit chats and bric-a-bracs, this piece has sold. So,
very nice.
Thank you to Heinz Cook, who purchased the piece. Thank you, buddy.
Right, Heinz. Very nice.
It's all yours. But yeah, I was gonna go Baroness.
Damn it!
But
damn you, Heinz.
I just want to give a shout out to Ryan's thought. Like, yeah, the tactical move of Backstop was really incredible because it's militaristically smart, you know, and a good shot and all that. So if I'm being honest, I probably would give it to him as well for that awesome move. But Baroness, because she's hot.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. And speaking of the Baroness, Dave.
Yeah, no, it's very clearly Baroness for me.
Really?
Honestly, well, she got a lot of play in this comic. If you add up all the panels, and I did, she had more than normal, and no one even really went close to challenging her. Obviously, Backstop is cool, but he's not going to do the job over Baroness in this saga. And in fairness to her, like, I just love the issue mostly because Baroness, it even ends with her, like, pissed off because she's just about to crucify that guy, and then it gets called off. And, if everyone in Cobra was as good as Baroness, we, Cobra, would rule the world. But, it's a lot of layabouts in Cobra, and Baroness has to carry the team by herself a lot of the time. So, Baroness easily.
Good call.
Very nice. Very nice. And I guess that leads it to me. Again, Brad kind of threw me off there because, he'd say, this is who mine is. Gave me the same reason. Okay, well, I'll let you go first. And he changes and veers. And so anyway, so it leaves me free. Again, I know I've talked smack about Battle Force 2000 along with everyone else. Again, I had one of them, but I don't think it was this my Joe of the month, but I don't know. I do not remember. I've been trying to remember that, and I cannot remember. But my Real American Hero, ignore where this Brad's choice because Brad changed his mind on me, is Blaster for figuring out about the sound waves being the problem and basically helping resolve this whole conflict. Yes, I mean, Backstop did help with the battlefield, but Blaster, not to turn my screen because I forget his name, how forgettable they are. I will give it to Blaster for, figuring out that the sound waves is what, and that's kind of helped resolve this whole issue. So I will give it to Blaster. And I want to say something nice about Battle Force 2000. So what the hell? Moving on to the next segment, the favorite page of art. I got a couple from people, some didn't. So let's go ahead and we'll go through what I have. First up, Jared. Joe's page 4. Would you like to talk about it?
Sure, man. Just a lot of, I mentioned earlier how much I like the sort of the vehicular military thing. I like how this plays out. I like how it sets up a line of his tanks versus a line of Joe vehicles with that C-130 rolling down. Look at those energy lines. The anchor was probably like, had his ruler out and was like, son of a bitch with these energy lines. Like 620 of them, but it looks great. And then you get Baroness and the winter gear and the bottom panel. And it's a great panel because it's like, here, head to head, here they come. What's going to happen? A lot of tension, a lot of energy, a lot of cool vehicle stuff happening. So that's why I picked it.
Very nice. Good choice. Good choice. And next up, Brad. Would you like to talk about your choice?
Yeah, the splash page. This is always my default when I can't really find a standout page. But I like this one just because it's dramatic. It's a nice low angle. of sort of with the Baroness and her hiss in the foreground. It's one of those things where you think if they're making this as a live action movie or whatever, somebody would have had to dig a trench to put the camera in that low so you get the hiss tanks on the ground and the plane flying overhead and the air traffic control tower being shot up and everything. I love the explosions and all the action happening around it. And, I mean, I'm sure Jared would probably even agree that there's a real art to a good splash page to just capture your attention right off the top. And again, if you have the individual issue in front of you and you go from the cover to the inside page, it's almost like a continuation because Baroness is to the left of the frame or the left of the panel in both cases. So it's kind of a neat, almost like a little bit of a flip book sort of thing happening there. So I like that one a lot.
Fantastic.
Very nice. Very nice. And next up, me. I chose page 17. I do like, try to look at my page there real quick. I do like how Hawk and Iceberg are on the back of the vehicle there. And that Wolf driver's pulling up alongside me. He's like, I'll just go on the side where they don't have, or go behind them where they don't have any ammunition. They don't have any weapons. And Iceberg standing there with that law rocket and like, there's no arm. Boom, it just blows them up. I thought that was a great action-oriented page.
Poor look on his face. Look at that. Look at that.
I love that look on his face. I think it's one of the things helped me decide on this being my page is just that look on his face. Like there's no armament. Like, oh crap. I guess you were wrong about that.
I mean, he was looking back. He was looking forward to going back to the Cobra barracks and maybe catching up on some like Miami Vice and eating some noodles or something. And nope, you got a rocket to the face.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So that's my page. And the next one I have here, Kevin, you sent me this one.
Yeah. I thought this was a really cool imagery here, specifically where the Baroness orders all of the rockets to be fired. And I love that the rocket line that's in midair there, you get the written sound effects says "foosh" on it. And then inset in the round circle there, you have a close-up on Baroness's face going, fire! And I remember when I was reading up to that comic and I didn't look over to the next page, like, how are they getting out of this? I'm like, oh, it's Battle Force 2000. Great. But up until then, this was great. I love that.
Yeah. And that's the last one I had. So, Ryan, did you have a Real American Hero for this issue? I'm sorry, a page of art. So we're at.
Yeah, I think page 5. So when the Hiss tank loses its tread, and not just because this was a cool thing the backstop did, but the way you see the tread whipping off of the wheels at the back, and just the chaos that's caused, and the other tank tipping, and the Baroness is like throwing her arms out. Like there is a lot of energy in that, and it is cool to see normally, boxy and predictable hisses in such a like compromised position. Yeah, bottom panel is the real key there. Yeah.
Oh, that was a good shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And my son Grayson, he's jumped in.
What's up, Grayson?
Hey, Grayson.
Hey, buddy.
Good to see you, buddy.
You guys like and subscribe to Mr. Crash Plays on YouTube. Bye.
He has his own YouTube channel, Mr. Crash Plays. What do you do? Minecraft and Roblox. So
ask him what he knows about Stinger on the NES.
He doesn't know what the NES is.
Goonies too. That's what I want to see.
Video game on the NES. It's an old video game system.
I don't play old video games very much. I'm not an old man.
I am.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah. Anyway,
I got to subscribe to this kid's channel.
Give it time, Grayson. Give it time.
I don't know. He may not live to be an old man. He keeps it up, but that's another story.
Excuse me.
Again, that's Mr. Crash Plays on YouTube.
Yes.
Check him out. And Dave.
For me, I actually was very close to picking the same page that Kevin picked, but my favorite page is actually the last page of the comic because it has Baroness getting so pissed off, and then it has the guy saying "phew," and I really like the artwork on that page. I actually really like the art in general in this issue, but I just like that last page because of basically Baroness is just so annoyed And just think, I imagine going home to her after that. Like she'd be in such a bad mood. Yeah, but yeah, the last page, it's great. And yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah.
Be careful how you're folding that there, Aaron. Be careful.
Yeah, I've got it open full. I'm not folding it.
It's all good. Guys, with that, I've actually got to go because I've got to go and do some work. I've got to jump into a meeting. But I want to give. Can I just give this issue?
Yeah.
I'll give this issue. I'm choosing between a 3.5 and a 4. I'm going to say 4 because of how much Baroness was in it. So 4 out of 5. Joe Colas, primarily due to Baroness. And you know what? Don't buy the hype. There's still a bit of good G.I. Joe to come. Don't let Kevin drag you down with all this stuff. We might actually, Kevin. I'm not sure if we're going to let you into Australia if you keep up this line of talk. I might make a few calls. We'll see. Play down.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm kidding, of course.
Be warned, I'm coming soon.
Kevin joining up the Aussie ranks again, and I just want to say a big yo-jo to everyone, and thank you very much for having me. Okay,
yo-jo, David, good to see you.
If you got 30 seconds, Dave, you want to tell people where they can find you?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can currently find me in my work office, but also on Signal of Doom, a hit comic book and movie podcast that comes out every week. We just had Chuck Dixon on. We just recently had Jane DeMatteis on. We're excited to be alive. Me and my co-host Richard. We've also we're doing a whole special thing on our Patreon about Bonanza episodes right now. Campfire Bonanza is in full swing. Yeah, we basically it's Michael Langdon stuff. So we're going great guns on Signal of Doom. And look, yo, Joe.
Thanks for joining us, Dave. Appreciate it, man. You have a good day, and we'll talk to you later, buddy. Okay, now that he's gone, we can actually get off the show. Oh, sorry.
Wow.
Oh, there you go.
Wow, Dad.
And so let's move on to the next segment, Postbox the Pit. First, we're going to look at Facebook. This is facebook.com/group/GI Joe. From over there, we have, he's joined us in the chat today, Dave Martell, Joe Flint, our very own Kevin Reitzel, Peppy, Pat Sampson, Paul Cush, David T. Allen. He's recently posted some great reviews, and he posted one recently of the review of the armored Cobra Commander figure with some background information. Great show, David. And also mentioned to Bob McLeod. He jumped on briefly, basically just say, please do not use AI. Again, someone tagged, a guy posted comparing the AI to the original art for one of the issues he did, and someone tagged him in it, complaining about the AI, and he jumped on to say, please do not use AI. There's a lot of conversation on AI and art. Again, most of the conversation was against it. People seem not to like the AI. So
Me either, Father. Me either.
then over on Twitter or X, that's at GI Joe Headcast. There's only a couple over there. Kevin Reitzel, he commented that he found the Beachhead at Ross for $8.99. And then he also commented on the AI rendition of issue 65. One of the few favorable comments on it. Speaking of comments, Jared Albrick, he stated that he did not listen to the show, and no one's surprised. He also had a comment on the AI covers. He says it's a professional, or at least semi-professional. I'll always support the real artist. I'd be lying if I said the AI cover was bad. It has a cool look. So the few favorable comments on AI, most people seem like they wanted to stream me up for mentioning AI and showing AI. So over on Instagram, that's at Headcast Network. There's only a couple there. There's Serpy Matt, Twin Cities Treks Pod, and Pop Culture Basement Podcast. Blue Sky, which I've recently joined, which is at headcast.bsky.social. I'm going to mention Eric Smith, our game master for our Energon Protocols game, and David Martell. And over on Patreon, again, patreon.com/Headcast Network. There's Bill Bear and Big Danny Cool, as I mentioned at the top of the show.
Yeah, he's cool.
And finally, over on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@g.i.joe_headcast. Regarding episode 66, Steve Martin said he caught this on his podcast subscription. He enjoyed it as always. Also over on the YouTube, there was Demon Knight, and Robert Coonrod. You need to comment on YouTube, so shut up. And that's it for Postbox the Pit. Again, got the Facebook, Patreon, and there's all where you can find me at GIJoe@headspeaks.com, Facebook.com/group/GI Joe, YouTube.com/@g.i.joe_headcast, Twitch.tv/brotherhead69, X.com/GI Joe Headcast, Instagram.com Headcast Network, and then, as I said, Patreon.com/Headcast Network. Now we'll move on to the Soldier of the Month. And I know a certain person on our group is always, begging and pleading. I almost gave it to Jared this month, almost, but there it goes. I get review. No, in fact, last month I changed who I was going to give it to. Because again, as I mentioned last time, one of our YouTube subscribers, I just found out, passed away on YouTube. One of our Patreon subscribers, Sean Adams, passed away. So I gave it to him last month. So this month I am giving the Soldier of the Month to Flint Dilly, our guest from last month. Thank you very much, Flint. I appreciate everything you do. And to our Soldier of the Month from all of us here at G.I. Joe, a Real American Headcast, and the Headcast Studios, we salute you.
That was a good interview with Flint.
Yes,
I stuff from him. Yeah,
and I'm gonna try to get him back on next season. We cover because he had a couple episodes coming up next season also. So, unless anyone has any other thoughts on the comic book or anything else we've talked about so far, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the cartoon.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
And if everyone's good to go, unless someone needs to get a drink or heroin or anything, we can get moving on to the next section.
Heroin.
Yeah, give me 2 minutes to refresh my water.
Oh, go ahead. So,
shameless plug on the Flint Dilly thing. Thank you for linking me up with him, Aaron.
Oh, no problem, man. Hey, glad anytime.
I interviewed him over on our James Bond channel on Her Majesty's Secret podcast because he was a producer on the Tomorrow Never Dies PlayStation 1 game.
Oh, very nice.
And it was another great interview. So if you want to hear more of Flint Dilly, just go on over to Her Majesty's Secret podcast. That was a 3 episodes ago, and he was fantastic as per usual. And my book on James Bond and video games is in final edits before it's going to be coming out in a couple months. And thanks to you, his interview is in there, and he was very supportive.
Nice.
Oh, good. Very nice. I'm always glad to help out. Yeah, anytime I have anyone on, if I can hook you up with anybody, definitely, I'm all for it.
It's incredible the amount of properties that man has worked on.
Oh no, yeah,
it's insane.
Well, like I've talked about when we had him on the show. If you guys haven't read the Game Master by Flint Dilly, it's a great book. Talking about a lot of the stuff he's done in the past, his D&D stuff, and his work on G.I. Joe and all that. That's a great book I bought.
D&D's nuts.
So, and of course, we can not forget about D's nuts.
Oh, thank you, Jared.
So once Ryan gets back, we'll get back into the show proper.
Well, I'll just continue to wax Flint Dilly's car then. Just the nicest guy. Yeah. Has such a positive attitude about everything.
Oh yeah. No,
ran into him at Joe Lanta back in October. He was there. Got to chat with him. And it was right after we'd recorded the interview. So I was like, hey, I don't remember me. And he's like, where do I know you from? I was like, interviewed. He's like, oh yeah.
Very nice. Good.
What a great guy. And I don't know if you know this, if you haven't met him personally. He's taller than me. He's like 6'5".
Oh, is he? Wow. No, I have not. I don't think I've met anybody personally as far as creators or anything. Yeah. And the fact when I met on the show, me and Kevin went down to Santa Barbara one time and met with Kevin. But yeah, that's.
Let's be honest. I was stalking you.
I thought I was stalking you. I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, like getting somebody posting someone's bail from jail is not meeting someone necessarily.
And I've also met over Derek William Crabb from he's got another podcast, right?
Yeah. I met him at HeroesCon one year.
Yeah, I drove up north and met him here quite a while back.
So. HeroesCon still a thing?
It's still a big old thing. Charlotte,
great.
North Carolina. It's almost always around Father's Day weekend.
That was one of the first conventions I ever went to when I moved to the East Coast for the first time.
It's one of the very last, maybe last of its scale that is a purely comic book convention. They don't do celebrity stuff. It's just all comics.
Very nice. All right. Well, since everyone's back, and like I say, when we're done with the show, if you guys to stick around for a little bit, so the recordings can get caught up and all that. I'll say that now.
I may have to pull a Dave and Bill, by the way.
Okay.
So
All right.
if I just disappear, I love let's say 3 of you.
Well, if you have sure which ones. So okay.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
And welcome back. So let's go ahead, and now it's time to move on to the cartoon.
Yo, Joe! He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there. It's G.I. Joe against Cobra the enemy, fighting to save the day. He never gives up, he's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe is there!
G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained Special Mission Force. Its purpose, to defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
He never gives up, he'll stay till the fight's won. G.I. Joe will dare. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe.
Sorry about that. Give me 1 sec. My son was playing my trouble bubble and dropped, and things are falling off.
Sorry.
Now he's in the trouble bubble.
Oh, he's going to be in trouble, definitely.
Wait, what?
He put Chewbacca in the trouble bubble.
This is how it's meant to be, guys.
Okay. So now that that's
Always
out of the
forgiven.
way, let's go ahead and let me add this back to the stage. So we are here to talk about There's No Place Like Springfield Part 2. This was directed by John Gibbs and Terry Lennon, written by the late Steve Gerber, first aired December the 13th, 1985. In the synopsis, which I put for Wikipedia, when Shipwreck is plagued by nightmares of what happened in the past 6 years he's missed, but soon discovers this might be Cobra's plan to extract Maloney's formula from his mind. Knowing something is amiss, when he realizes he hasn't aged in the supposed time he was comatose, Shipwreck calls the Joes to Temple Alpha, actually a Cobra Island base posing as Springfield, and they plan to take down Cobra once and for all. And seeing how this was the season finale, maybe they do. Let's wait and see. So let's get some thoughts on this. Let me see real quick. Let's go ahead and go in reverse order this time in case he has to bounce. Jared, do you have any notes by any chance?
Yes, but I only have a few, so I think I've left some for other folks. Thank you for starting me, because in case I have to leave. All right, I'll just run through them real quick. I wasn't here last episode, and I for real this time didn't watch it, but they did a really good recap at the front. I had no questions.
Yes. Good.
So here are my notes after my bullet that says good recap. That phone has 15 buttons.
I did that too.
What do you think about this one? Evil Polly is more likable than regular Polly.
You're not wrong.
I'm going to need Kevin on this one. Crimson Guard Cadet Deming.
Hot.
There you go. I thought she'd make a cool figure though. If Super 7's been mining the animated show, I think Cadet Deming might be fun. Shipwreck's history was kind of cool. The whole lied about his age and some of the cool stuff he's done. I like that. That's pretty good. Let's see. I have a note here about torture and interrogation, and I can't remember why I wrote it down.
I'll expand on that later.
I'll leave that one for Kevin. Let's see.
I've got notes on that also.
This is a bullet I liked. Cheap beard dye. Cobra's Achilles heel.
Yeah.
Let's see. Fella I've seen it play over my mind now. I just wrote down, fell off ramp, tripped the alarm, and ran into a wall. That's one person did all three of those things in short order.
Yeah.
Let's see. Dreadnoks ruin everything.
Yes.
I mean, I personally like them, but they ruin everything in the car.
You're not wrong on both cases.
Oh, okay. And my final bullet says Maya and Althea Synthoids? Who would have guessed? And that's it. Thank you for entertaining me.
Oh, always. And let's go ahead and move on then. Kevin.
So in the flashback, which I think lasted 10 minutes, which was great. When they show Shipwreck tackling, like he's the hero, that's what he's being brainwashed, that he tackles Cobra Commander. So he's like the big hero. Cobra Commander's helmet falls off, but we don't see like how it, like what he looks like. So I thought that was kind of teased in a really cool way. Can we talk about that? Okay, so when Shipwreck is falling down while he's inside that gelatinous thing, and he's going down that marble madness maze, the sound that the gelatinous squishy noise was making. There you go. Yeah, so you mentioned the push button phone there, Jared. I had 15 buttons. What do the other 6 buttons do? I was kind of curious about that, but I did rewind it 5 or 6 times to realize what code that Mara actually dialed. She dialed 4524. So that is the hotline, I guess, to figure out like stuff's not going well. Help me, Cobra. I don't know. But yeah, 4524 is what she dialed.
Noted.
I guess Cobra Polly, he's kind of fun. I like how he reports directly to Cobra Commander. When the Cobra elevator voiced, does it sound like it was a Baroness voice? You ever notice that when they go there? So is the Baroness kind of like, does she record that in her off time while she's not ordering people around? I mean, is she approached to do that? I mean, did she do that willingly? I'm kind of curious about that. Back to Crimson Guard Cadet Deming. I've already mentioned how I felt about her, but I did write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fire emojis after I wrote her name. The interrogation of Shipwreck. And I did want to mention here that Crimson Guard Cadet Deming straddle Shipwreck.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
In frustration during interrogation. And then I wrote down, keep lying, Shipwreck.
Yeah.
Just keep lying. Keep lying. Keep it doing. Cobra Doctor turned into gelatinous goo by the Crimson Twins there. They shot him. So during which Cobra character... Okay, so during the interrogation, while Cadet Deming is straddling Shipwreck and yelling at him face to face on top of him, you start seeing like these ghost creatures moving around, and they all have like Cobra character faces.
Right.
I saw a Cobra Commander, I saw a Baroness, and it kind of reminded me of that scene at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark when they're closing their eyes.
Yes.
So they don't see the Ark being open. All those ghosts are all flying around. Polly Parrot versus evil Cobra Polly was the fight we all needed.
Yes.
Polly reminded Shipwreck about that night in Annapolis to prove he was the real Polly.
Yeah.
Wonder what that story was. The synthoids created from a pseudoplasm. So is that what Phil Collins' song Sussudio is about? No one knows what that means. I'm just saying.
Very nice. Very nice pull. Very nice.
And can we also talk about the Dreadnought pseudoplasm game board that they were playing? That's what you decide to do with the pseudoplasm and the synthoids is like, let's create a like Star Wars holodeck type game, but with pseudoplasm little creatures just bumping into each other.
Why are there so many Cadet Demings running around here?
A good one.
That's what I would do. Anyways,
for those of you that did not know, son of a bilge rat, that you kept hearing shipwreck refer to? A bilge rat historically refers to a literal rodent living in the filthiest, lowest part of the ship, the bilge, or a derogatory term for a low-ranking, scruffy sailor. It's often used as a pirate-themed insult for a despicable person. There you go. And Polly knew the code word "frogs in the water" for the secret ingredient. That was not alluded to, if I remember correctly, in the part 1 of the episode. But I thought that was funny. Of all other people or beings other than Lady J would know it, Polly, of course, would. And Mara and Althea are Cobra. We get that too. Althea, I had mentioned in the previous episode, was a name from 1947. Apparently, they learned it here. But Althea was rocking the rocket launcher. Thought that was very, very cool. Like, you go, Althea. And of course, Polly saves Shipwreck by turning them into goo. And Polly says, "End of the line, synthoid suckers." And on a serious note, I actually felt sad at the end there that I felt sad for Shipwreck that his family dream was just that. There
Yes.
There's my notes.
Very, very nice thoughts. And let's go ahead and Ryan.
Yeah, this is like the greatest episode of any 80s series. This is like the high point of this series, and honestly, the high point of just this genre of like Sunbow style animation. It's emotional, it's like it messes you up. And I saw part 1 as a kid and then did not catch part 2. And so I got all the setup for the terrible things that were happening to Shipwreck. And then it was 20 years or so before I finally resolved all of that trauma. Some of the things that I've observed on this particular go around, I like that Synthoid Doc is still nice deep down inside.
Yes.
So that, like, I guess because they had to program them to be the convincing personalities. And so he has that nice little chat with Cadet Deming. It's like, oh, this is your first time. Like, they didn't need to put that in. They just did. And likewise, like, there's a great roadblock exchange between him and Mulaney where, you know, he's got one of his great lines about how they're going to do, you know, they're going to save the day, but Mulaney needs some sleep. And then Mulaney's like, are you going to do something about it? He's like, oh, we'll probably do lots of things. Like, that is a classic Sunbow line of like, what? Like, it's just a strange thing that didn't need to be included, but it adds so much personality to a character that has nothing to do with this episode. And then one final, just on another personal note about this episode. So I have this somewhere in my house on VHS, an original recording from the original time. So I have the scene that was cut where Shipwreck says, like, you know, Mara, Ophelia, why are you doing this? And then it cuts to Ophelia saying, like, you're an idiot, daddy. And that was cut from all second, like, every version of it that's ever been released on DVD or whatever, cuts that out, and also cuts out her melting. So it jumps to Polly zapping the two of them, and you see Mara melt, and you see a pile of goo next to her. I was hoping to bust that out, record it, like just make a video of that scene. I have no idea where those VHSs are right now. So sorry, like, it is not fully lost media. It exists somewhere in my house, and if I find it, I will send you a copy so that you can share with me.
Definitely. Thank you. I'd love to see that. And Brad, thoughts on the cartoon?
I didn't watch it.
I didn't figure you did.
No, you know what? I didn't watch it because I did not watch it because I did not need to watch it, because as we just, I think the ground that we're all kind of running into, Ryan just sort of pointed out there, I don't think there's an episode of any 80s cartoon that goes as hard as this one. I don't think I could forget it if I tried to forget it. It puts Shipwreck through absolute hell, and it doesn't give him the happy ending that you'd expect in a cartoon. Like, okay, just kind of brush it off. Like, the trauma and everything that happens to the poor guy. I mean, Shipwreck is such a he's kind of a C-list character in the comic. He doesn't really do a lot, but he's a definite A-lister in the cartoon. He's got that Jack Nicholson in The Last Detail kind of world weariness. And this episode conclusion, this is like the Shining for Shipwreck. He's always kind of been the Han Solo of the Sunbow cartoon, the guy who's kind of get this sort of wry sort of remove from everything that's going on, this world weariness. But here he's just utterly broken. And, you know, I have such a vivid memory of watching this when it first aired back in the mid 80s. Number one, because it was a two-parter, and those are always memorable ones. But I remember the title being flashed on the screen and thinking, at last, we're finally crossing over into comics territory with Springfield as the Cobra secret base of operations, which is such a great gag, given that there's a Springfield in pretty much every U.S. state. I'm an hour east of our Springfield. But of course, this Springfield isn't the comic, it's the cartoon. So it becomes very sci-fi very fast with the blob people and very nightmarish. But, it kind of begs the question to me, because various writers of the Sunbow cartoon have gone on the record say, oh, we never read the comic. That we just did our own thing. We didn't pay attention to what was going on in the comic as well. And then you see this episode and you're like, really? Because this kind of puts a bit of a lie to that statement. Like, I could see a writer on the cartoon covertly slipping out to the newsstand or the comic book shop and kind of reading the comic on the slide just to see what the competition is doing.
Well, I know when I talked to Buzz Dixon here quite a while back, I know he said they would, if not mistaken, he said they would get the comics in, but most of the time they wouldn't look at them. But on that, Steve Gerber, who was a big comic writer himself and worked for Marvel, he's the one that wrote this episode. So I'm wondering if maybe he did pull something from because again, he was a Marvel writer and.
Yeah, like I thought either he snuck it in just as a tribute, or maybe because they thought it might bring in some fans of the comic who aren't necessarily fans of the cartoon, just to watch the episode, maybe get hooked on the cartoon. But I think in 1985, if your version of G.I. Joe, your preferred version was like the silent interlude, Snake Eyes: The Origin G.I. Joe, cartoon about people melting into puddles of goo was a little too far out, but. I, like most of us here, I think it's, they can kind of exist different parts of the same world, different sides of the same coin. There's the cartoon for the more crazy, outlandish stuff, and there's the more, generally more grounded part of the comic, even though the comic kind of goes a little out into outer space. Yeah. Up until right around the period that we're in on the comic right now. It was pretty grounded. 1985 was still pretty grounded. We didn't get too far out there, but again, I like this issue or this episode for the reasons that Ryan does. It just goes hard and memorable, and I could still recall so much of it for a show that I first watched like 40 years ago. So that's all I have to say about it.
Very nice, good thoughts.
I wanted to echo one thing that Brad just said, was that this is how he's like an A-lister in the cartoon series, and he didn't get a lot of run that was, very, very memorable throughout the comic series. And this was the reason why I became a huge Shipwreck fan. He's one of my favorite characters, and he was the reason why I decided to do my first costume with him. And I just love him and the dynamic of, Polly, and he just became one of the best cartoon characters. And I did want to mention too is that the Dr. Mulaney does make another appearance in season 2 of the series, which only runs for 30 episodes. The first season ran for 55, and I think it's episode 26 called Joe's Night Out, where dial tone, leatherneck, wetsuit, and their dates night out on an open air nightclub is out of this world, literally, as Serpenter sends the club into outer space as part of a plan to obtain a valuable engine that runs on nitrogen. I thought I would mention that plot now because we probably won't get to that episode till about 4 years.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. A couple, it could be a couple years down the road because if he's 27, if you're, it's going to be 12, 24. Yeah, it's going to be at least 2 years or more down the road. So so we'll have to remember that. Again, my thoughts on this before I read my actual notes. I've said before, and you guys basically said it, the multi-part episodes were the best of the cartoon, in my opinion. This season had several 2-parters. If I'm not mistaken, next season didn't have any other than the Arise, Spencer, Arise. I don't think it had any multi-parters. So I was thinking about them, like, wait a minute. I don't even have any multi-parters next season. Wow. And the multi-parters were always the best. They were a little bit more, I don't want to say realistic, but they were a little more serious for the most part. I mean, there's this one, there's the Worlds Without End or whatever, where they get transported to alternate reality. The one where Dusty's branded a traitor. Thank you, the traitor. So they're a little bit more hard hitting, a little bit more detailed, I guess. And like you guys have said, this episode's a fantastic episode because it does very much hits hard with Shipwreck. And like Kevin said, the comics didn't do much of Shipwreck, but I love Shipwreck because of the cartoon. So moving on to my notes. One second, careful, son. Moving on to my notes. Again, you guys have said a lot of this. I'm gonna hit them on anyways. First up, this one's for you, Kevin. Cadet Denning, hot.
You're muted.
Yeah, I already said it's hot. She's hot.
Yeah.
Come on.
I did like the recap, as I think Jared mentioned, the recap of Shipwreck's life. I like that. The synthwave doc is smarter than the twins. So, you don't press us too far. You're going to ruin Cadet Dennings. You're going to mess up the specimen. What do you know? It's kind of back in a putty because we disagree with them. Okay. An art error at one point when Denning is straddling Shipwreck, and then the next scene, her legs on one side of him, and then she's back to straddling him again. That went back and forth. The artist had to kind of mess up there.
I'm going to forgive that.
Oh, me too. Because again, my next note, again, as you guys have mentioned, speaking of Denning and straddling, that's all I wrote. It's all I needed to write. You guys have handled the rest of that. No, I'm not done with Captain Denning. My next note on here, kind of along the lines, I think Kevin mentioned it or somebody. They talk about the Super 7. I'm waiting on my classified Cadet Denning figure at this point. Anyways,
so she's come up a few times. You guys know she's the nurse from part 1, right? Cadet Denning is Nurse Denning in part 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She didn't just come out of nowhere as a critical.
Oh, no, yeah.
This was a follow-up to that.
This first place, these two parters.
Just to clarify, she's hotter in this episode than the last episode.
Than in a nurse uniform, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, she's in that Cobra outfit.
Yeah.
And did you see the part where she's straddling him? I'm just saying.
It hasn't come up.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I guess maybe she should mention that she was straddling Shipwreck, and
it would have been weird if she was straddling him as a nurse.
This is true.
I'm kind of turned on now. Anyways, it's entirely. I did like everyone was. It seemed like everyone was telling Cobra Commander what he should be doing next. Well, this isn't working. You should try this. Well, this isn't working. Damn it! Another art error. Again, because this is a great episode, so I got to point out some of the errors I found in this. Cobra Commander sitting behind his desk with just his mask on. As he goes to get up, it switches to the helmet for a couple of scenes, and then it's back to his mask. I just had to point that out because, again, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, I love the hooded Cobra Commander. He's my favorite version. With this being my second favorite.
The thing you mentioned about how he's frustrated that everyone's coming up with their, that's a classic one.
Anyways.
But he's like, oh, great. We're going to be here for 5 years while the dictionary's read to Shipwreck.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was right because it was a 3-word password. So reading the whole dictionary wouldn't do anything.
Yeah. Yep. And as you guys had mentioned, the dye washed out really easily. And is Shipwreck's hair brown or black? It always looks brown to me, but
it's inconsistent throughout the series.
Yeah. Well, when he washed out the dye, my hair, it's still black. Is that black?
It's brown in the classified figure.
Yeah.
So
when we said it was black, I went, what the heck? It kind of threw out to me a little bit. My next note here is Polly to the rescue. And as I think was Kevin mentioned, I love when Polly convinced Shipwreck that he was the real Polly. I mentioned, remember that's one time? Okay, we don't need to go any further than that. Cobra Island and Springfield all in one episode. Fantastic. You got to love that. So then no one's mentioned yet. When Shipwreck was running from the Cobras and he runs that one lab and he bumped into that one scientist and he knocked chemicals on it and made his hair fall out. Very much reminds me of the Silver Age Lex Luthor.
Oh, yeah.
Same kind of thing where, chemicals made his hair fall out. As I think it was Ryan just mentioned, the code word was actually a code phrase. Yeah, the twins dictionary method would never have worked at this point because, it was trying words and it would never get those two words together right after one another like that. So, and someone mentioned earlier, Roadblock. Again, another mistake. When the professor was talking, if you watched, Roadblock was mouthing along the same thing the professor was saying.
No.
And then, his line there was, do something. We might do a couple of things or do a couple of somethings. I love that. Like I was Ryan was saying, it's classic shipwreck, very much, or shipwreck, a classic roadblock. Very, didn't need to be there, but yeah, it kind of gives you a little bit more characterization of the character. So, and my final note on this, more of a question. So Paulie showed up. He had that ray to destabilize the synthoids, and then he took off with shipwreck. He's flying. We don't see the ray anymore until the very end when he shows up and blasts Mara and Althena. Where was Paulie keeping that ray?
It also looked like an early Canon PowerShot camera.
Yeah. That was my question. Where was Paulie storing that? He doesn't have pockets. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the cartoon.
There's one thing I want to address what Kevin said. You said that you were surprised Paulie also knew the password, but actually in the previously on, they add a shot that was not in the first episode of Paulie just kind of listening in while Mulaney is whispering the password to Lady J. So they do address it. And if you just watch it as like 2 back-to-back episodes and skip the previously on, you missed that detail was added.
See, I was going to go back and watch that first part and see if Paulie was floating around there when he gave her the password, but I didn't get around to it.
So I rewatched this last episode, obviously, for this podcast, and I really enjoy the G.I. Joe intro, and I love how, I would love for some G.I. Joe convention, a band to get together and like do all these G.I. Joe theme songs and sing them. It'd be really, really cool and fun for the crowd. And then I was watching it on Tubi, and then it would get to the credits and then end and then play the next episode, and then immediately went into season 2, new intro. Yep. New video and everything. I saw like, where's Sergeant Slaughter doing in there? I'm like, oh, it's during that era now. Yeah. So that.
Yeah.
I like the season 2 intro, but there's a point because like both of them, you kind of follow along with the battle, but there's a point in season 2 where it just kind of jumps where they're in the Terrordrome, they throw some punches, and then the Terrordrome's exploding and they're running away. Whereas in season 1, you see them planting the bomb, you see all of the cause and effect. So I think
and then Destro's passed around to like 5 different Joes,
and then thrown at the Dreadnoks.
Yes, I love that. But we were talking about that here.
Let's specify he's thrown at the Dreadnought, not what Kevin said, just passed around and left it at that. Like, what? I don't remember that.
He's passed around like, never mind. Anyways. So yeah, no, like I've said earlier, and I've said it before, I'll say it. Well, I won't say it again. Well, you guys well for the multi-parts, but yeah, I love these 2-parters. And yeah, I'm a little sad that I think this is the last one we're going to get. We'll get the 5-parter for the season openers, but yeah.
This is the last time Shipwreck is cool. Season 2, he's really a slacker, and he's kind of like, he's sometimes in the trio with Leatherneck and Wetsuit.
Yeah,
as like the rivals there, but he's always the least mature of the ones. Like he never has a cool moment like this. Whereas in season 1, sometimes he's a screw up, but sometimes he's the hero. And especially when we got the backstory here, and you're like, you see that this guy really is dedicated, even though he comes off as lazy. So even though he shows up a lot in season 2, the season 2 doesn't do him any favors.
You're right. You're not wrong.
Do you know are you going to be covering each episode separately of the Serpentor 5-part series? You're going to do it all at one and like rip the band off?
No, I will probably do it like it would air, like each episode.
Gotcha.
I'll break it up over the 5 episodes. So, yeah. So, unless someone's other thoughts on that, bring that back up. And now it's time for the PSA for this month. Let me find it. Oh, there it is.
Hey, where's John?
What's all the excitement?
Wakanda. We can't find John. He was heading that way.
Oh, no. Check that old refrigerator.
Thanks, Wakanda.
Remember, never get in anything that could close up and trap you.
Like an old trunk or an abandoned refrigerator. Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
Hey, that refrigerator saved Indiana Jones in Indiana Jones 4. I'm just saying. Okay? Saved him from a nuclear explosion. Okay?
This is true. So, unless it was
I got something to add to that. Yeah, if you weren't an '80s kid, you don't know. You don't know the primordial fear, the primal fear that old abandoned refrigerators had, and they've become kind of like a part of the pop culture. If you ever read Stephen King's novel of It, there's a memorable sequence involving a child in a refrigerator. There's some very disturbing things,
especially if it was near quicksand.
That I was about to say the exact same thing,
and like an active volcano somewhere in the background with lava moving through. But I just watched on YouTube. It was I can't remember the channel. If I could, I'd give them a shout out. But talking about very special episodes of the '80s and '90s and counting down the top ones. And there was one which involved a child locking themselves in a refrigerator that had been abandoned. I think it was a Punky Brewster episode. So it was part of the culture at the time. So good on Recondo to remind kids not to go playing in that old.
Recondo takes it seriously too. He's like, oh, check the fridge.
Is that the first place? But the thing is, now it's like anytime you hear it say, "Oh, a child's gone missing" or "Someone's gone missing," the first thing that pops in my mind is, "Have they checked the fridges? Have they checked the abandoned refrigerators just sitting there?" And it's like, if you're putting your fridge up by the curb, you've got to take the door off. But modern fridges are so flimsy now. It's like tissue paper. They could just kick the door off and go. They weren't these big heavy duty ones from the 50s.
True story. I usually throw the PSA on when I'm editing it, but I throw on while we're doing the show and gives a little something to talk about, and again, give the viewers that's watching on YouTube, wherever, Twitch, something to watch also. So yeah, I love the PSAs. Yeah, they're very much a part of GI Joe. So very nice. Well, does anyone have any other thoughts? Ryan, any other thoughts on anything we've talked about today?
Thoughts on anything we've talked about today? Just a good combination of comic and episode. In fact, you've had me on for some very good comics and very good episodes. So thank you, Aaron.
Oh, anytime. Any episode you want to be on, let me know, and you're more than welcome to be on, man. Brad, any other thoughts?
I don't know. I think we've talked about everything and anything under the sun in this episode. We've been going through this for a while now. It's completely dark where I am right now. So
we've got 2 casualties.
Yeah, we've lost people on the way on both different sides of the world. It's we're like the last one standing here. This was a good episode, and it was a decent issue. Far from an all-timer, but that's kind of where G.I. Joe the comic is in this era. But we've got some good ones coming up. The Cobra Civil War, I remember being quite fun. Then there's some intermittently interesting stories that come up, arcs down the road. But I think we can admit that not anywhere near as consistent as the first 50 or so issues of the comic. Although it's still fun to reread and revisit, though. So I'll give it that.
Definitely. And Kevin, final thoughts?
It was always enjoy doing this, and thank you guys. And Ryan, it was good to have you on too and podcast. Really appreciate you, man. And Brad, thank you for sharing my brain. I do appreciate that.
Of course.
And the next time I'll be doing this, I might be in Australia, so I'll be at the same
if they'll have you
zone as David is. So yeah.
If David doesn't get you kicked out first.
I know, right?
So while you're talking, Kevin, if people want to hear more from you,
please, you can follow me on the socials at Spartan_Phoenix, including Blue Sky, X, Instagram, Letterbox, Discord, Spartan_Phoenix. But please follow us on the Fandom Podcast Network on YouTube. Subscribe, share it out. We appreciate you. Follow us on Facebook as well. And we're all Fandom Podcast Network is also on those socials as well. And on the Fandom Podcast Network, we got a bunch of great shows under that umbrella. We cover Star Wars, we cover Star Trek. I'm a big movie guy. We have Couch Potato Theater. We celebrate all of our favorite movies as well. One of my favorite podcasts that I'm passionate about is called Time Warp. We choose an entire year, and we do a monthly podcast and talk about all of the movies each of those months and all of the pop culture surrounding those movies, including the TV series and music that came out during that month. And this year we're celebrating 1996. A lot of big movies came out in 1996, Twister being one of the biggest ones there, including also Independence Day. So make sure you check it out, Time Warp, and also Fandom Podcast Network.
Very nice. And Brad, I heard something about a podcast from you.
Yeah. Well, first I wanted to add, Kevin, 1996, that was That was what, like 10 years ago?
30 years ago, celebrating his 30th
No.
anniversary, man,
No.
1996. Yeah.
No, I refuse to believe that. I'm
The,
one of those people who.
the USB cable came out 30 years ago. USB.
Wow, yeah.
Look in front of you. How many things are USB right now? 30 years ago, it came out.
All of them.
And,
all of them.
And the DVD came out as well. You want to know what the first major DVD release was?
What's that?
Was it Twister?
Twister. Yep.
Twister,
Right, man.
yeah,
Yep.
which also came out years ago too. Wow, this is I'm one of those people who likes to think that the 90s were just 10 years ago, but unfortunately, that's
right?
I feel about that with the 80s.
Yeah,
10, 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you like 80s movies, 90s movies, and beyond, my podcast, the Cellular Heroes podcast, on Spools monthly on the Long Box Crusade Podcast Network. You can follow the show on Instagram at the Celluloid Heroes Pod over here, and on the Long Box Crusade's various social media feeds, which is quite great, because my social media feed is terrible because I never use it. But check it out. We just put out our episode about Ghostbusters, and so far people seem to be digging that. But one of my favorite movies is coming next month, and that's going to be The Last Starfighter. So
very nice.
Hope you tune in.
Yes.
And Ryan, what you got going on over there?
I also have podcasts. You can go to nodirectionpodcast.com. It's mostly dedicated to Pathfinder and Starfinder and Paizo's products, but because I'm involved, we also have an Essence 20 podcast. Essence 20 is a system that runs the G.I. Joe and Transformers, Power Rangers, My Little Pony, and Welcome to Night Vale RPGs. And so every couple of weeks, me and Charles Cushman from Energon Protocols, we just talk Essence 20 and the Upshift, and every 2 weeks I use Essence 20 to build some character from popular culture, usually just trying to break the system with making something that it was not designed for. Probably my favorite build was when I managed to make not just Hiccup but also Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon, just full on using rules that did not intend for a dragon companion to be a possible.
That's
so yeah,
fantastic.
you can check that out.
I love that.
Thank you. You can check that out at nodirectionpodcast.com. You can find me. I'm KD, as in no direction, _Ryan_Costello on Instagram. And I am Costello at Blue Sky .social. I managed to get in early enough that I got my last name as my handle on that platform.
Very nice. And yeah, I've already mentioned mine earlier, but again, we're here normally the fourth Sunday of every month. As I talked to guys earlier in the show, next month it will either be the 22nd of March or the 29th, depending on Kevin's schedule and where he's going to be at when he can join us. Next month, we're going to be looking at issue 69 and also yes. And
you paused. You were obviously waiting for someone to do it.
Well, that I'm going to insert an audio effect.
Okay.
But yeah, no, definitely. And again, as I said, this is the season finale, season 1. So we're going to take a month break, and next month, instead of the cartoon, we're going to be looking at yearbook number 4. So join us then. And I'll post on the socials when that's going to come out, or when we record that. And also normally it's the third Thursday of every month, I release the Energon Protocols. That's the game that Ryan and, as you mentioned, Charles and a couple other guys where we play the G.I. Joe role-playing game. This month I delayed it, and I released the Bravo Team on the third Thursday. This coming Thursday, the fourth Thursday of the month this time, I look at the date, the 26th, I'm going to release episode 10 of the Energon Protocols. And what we're going to do is, like we did once before previously, me and the guys are going to get together here on YouTube, and we're going to we're going to listen to it live and give our thoughts and commentary on it. So then if you guys are free, you want to check out, episode 10 of the Energon Protocols, we should all be there discussing. This was our re-entry after the whole Cybertron, and we get to hear classified giveaway a part of the world somewhere. So we'll find out more about that.
Spoilers.
We'll get more about that Thursday. We'll hear more about
what part of the world. Tune in to find out.
Tune in to find out, and his repercussions. Anyways, but yes. And then I've got my Head Speaks podcast. So right now I'm looking at the Animal Man series from that Grant Morrison did.
Nice.
I say I'm waiting on my mail from In Stock Trades, which has like I said, the second G.I. Joe compendium and the Animal Man omnibus, gathering all that Grant Morrison Animal Man stories. So that's going to do it for this month. Until next month, I guess that's going to do. I want to thank everyone out there in YouTube land, everyone that commented, both David Martell and Heinz. Thank you guys very much and this Kevin Reitzel guy for commenting, even though he wasn't a fan of Battle Force 2000, apparently. I want to thank you guys very much for joining me there. And I want to thank you guys, Ryan. Thank you very much for showing up today. And Kevin, Brad,
of course.
And to our departed guests, RIP, Jared, and they're not dead, never mind. And David Finn. And David Finn, thank you guys very much for taking time out on a Saturday afternoon to talk 30, 40-year-old comics and cartoons with this old man.
Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Sunday.
What did I say?
Saturday.
Oh, wow. I'm really screwed up. It's
have
Sunday
to go to
afternoon.
work tomorrow, Aaron.
I hope it's Sunday.
No, I don't. I'm off tomorrow, but that's for different reasons entirely. But my son has a doctor's appointment I got to take him to. But that's going to do it for today. Until next time, remember, knowing is half the battle. Again, one at a time. Yo, Joe. Ryan?
Yo, Joe.
Brad?
Yo, Joe.
And Kevin?
Yo, Joe.
And that's where we'll bring up the last slide. Yo, Joe. And this, we're going to end it. Thank you, everybody.
G.I. Joe, a Real American Headcast, is available monthly on iTunes, Stitcher, and at headspeaks.com. All characters and stories are owned and trademarked by their respective owners. We claim no ownership other than our opinions. All audio and images are used for entertainment purposes and falls under fair use. We make no money from this headcast. For more of the monthly G.I. Joe, check out the IDW series. For the stories we're covering, look for the comics and trade paperbacks. Let us know what you think. Send us an email letting us know your thoughts. Joe's dismissed.